A bullet ripped through the VIP room window, shattering glass into shards that flew through the air. Kaia Vale, an unnoticed cocktail waitress, had just saved the life of Chicago's most dangerous crime boss by knocking him to the floor just seconds before death. But Lucien Drakov showed no gratitude to a stranger. He only knew suspicion. And in his underworld, suspicion always led to bloodshed. Will Kaia survive the night, or will she become the next victim in this brutal power struggle? Follow the story to the end, like, and comment with the city you're watching to let me know how far this story has progressed. Rain didn't fall on Chicago that night. It attacked. Sheets of water hammered the pavement like the city itself was being punished for every sin it had ever committed, and downtown had committed plenty. The streets reflected red and blue neon in oily puddles that looked like wounds, and the wind carried the smell of exhaust, rotting garbage, and something metallic that might have been blood or might have been rust. Hard to tell anymore. Kaia Vale stood at the service bar inside Velvet Crown, waiting for the bartender to finish garnishing a cocktail that cost more than her rent. She didn't fidget, didn't check her phone, didn't do anything that would make her visible to the kind of people who filled this room. Billionaires. Politicians with blood under their manicured nails. Men who owned things that weren't supposed to be owned. Women who smiled like knives. She'd learned a long time ago that survival meant being a ghost. The cocktail waitress uniform was simple. Black dress, nothing flashy, nothing memorable. That was intentional. Velvet Crown didn't hire staff who drew attention. They hired furniture that could walk and pour drinks. Kaia had been here 6 months, long enough to recognize patterns, long enough to know which tables tipped well and which ones groped. Long enough to understand that this place wasn't just a restaurant. It was a confessional for people who'd stopped believing in forgiveness. She picked up the tray with the cocktail, something absurdly complicated involving smoked ice and edible gold, and moved through the dining room with the practiced invisibility of someone who'd spent her entire childhood learning how to not be seen. Foster homes taught you that? 18 different ones, to be exact. 18 different sets of rules, 18 different ways to get hurt if you stepped wrong. So you learned, you watched, you adapted, and you never ever let them see you watching. The main lounge was all marble and gold leaf, with chandeliers that probably cost more than most people made in a year. Oil paintings on the walls, originals, not prints. A grand piano in the corner where someone played something classical and melancholy. The kind of place designed to make you feel small, unless you were the kind of person who never felt small anywhere. Kaia delivered the cocktail to a woman in diamonds who didn't say thank you, then returned to her post near the service entrance. From there, she could see most of the room. It was habit, not paranoia. Or maybe it was both. Hard to separate them when you'd grown up the way she had. That's when the energy shifted. It was subtle, the kind of thing most people wouldn't notice. But Kaia had spent her entire life reading rooms, and this room just changed frequency. Conversations didn't stop, but they got quieter. Shoulders tensed, security guards near the entrance straightened almost imperceptibly. The pianist's fingers didn't falter, but his posture stiffened. Someone important was here, or someone dangerous, often the same thing. Lucien Drakov walked through the entrance like he owned the building. He probably did. Owned the building, owned half the block, owned things that weren't on any deed or title. Early 40s maybe, dark hair going silver at the temples, expensive suit that fit too well to be off the rack. He moved with the kind of calm that came from never having to prove anything to anyone. People who needed to prove things got nervous. Lucien Drakov looked like he'd forgotten what nervous felt like. 2 bodyguards flanked him, both scanning the room with professional intensity, both armed, though the bulges under their jackets were subtle enough that most civilians wouldn't notice. Kaia noticed. She always noticed. Lucien made his way to a private booth at the back, the one with sightlines to all the exits and no windows directly behind it. Smart. The kind of seating choice that separated people who'd survived a long time from people who got lucky once or twice before their luck ran out. The maitre d' fussed over him. Brought a bottle of whiskey that wasn't on any menu. Lucien poured his own glass. Dismissed everyone with a gesture that was barely a movement. Just a slight shift of his hand, and the staff evaporated. Kaia stayed where she was, near the service bar, supposedly organizing cocktail napkins, but actually watching. Because something felt wrong. Not wrong like danger wrong. Wrong like a pattern breaking. Like static on a frequency that was supposed to be clear. The bodyguards were positioned wrong. Not obviously wrong, just slightly off. The one on the left kept glancing at the door instead of scanning the room. The one on the right had positioned himself too far forward, blocking Lucien's sight line to the main entrance. Maybe they were new. Maybe they were tired. Or maybe they were compromised. Kaia's hands kept moving, straightening napkins that didn't need straightening, while her mind cataloged everything. Years of survival had taught her that details saved you. The wrong detail got you killed, but the right one kept you breathing. Then she saw it. A tiny red dot, laser sight, trembling slightly against the crystal of Lucien's whiskey glass, moving up from the glass toward his chest. Sniper. Had to be. Window across the street, probably. High angle, professional setup. Time didn't slow down the way it did in movies. It sped up. Her body moved before her brain finished calculating the angles. Tray dropped. Napkins scattered. She was crossing the floor before anyone registered what was happening. Lucien looked up, saw her coming, frowned slightly. His bodyguards reached for weapons, too slow. Kaia hit him like a linebacker, all her weight driving him sideways out of the booth. They went down hard, her shoulder taking most of the impact as they crashed into the marble floor. The whiskey glass shattered, someone screamed, and then the window exploded. The sound was enormous. Not just the gunshot, though that was loud enough to set off car alarms outside, but the entire floor-to-ceiling window disintegrating into a million pieces. Safety glass, so it shattered into chunks instead of shards, but still. The blast wave of it hit everyone in the room like a physical force. More screaming, chairs scraping, people diving for cover, security shouting into radios. The pianist stopped playing. Kaia rolled off Lucien and came up in a crouch, scanning for threats. Her ears were ringing. Her shoulder hurt where she'd hit the floor, blood on her arm, just a scratch from the glass, nothing serious. She ignored it. Lucien was already standing, completely composed, brushing glass off his suit like he'd just walked through a light rain. He looked at the destroyed window, then at the booth where he'd been sitting. The bullet had punched through the leather upholstery, right where his chest would have been. Then he looked at Kaia. Not the way people usually looked at waitresses. Not the way men usually looked at women in this city. He looked at her the way you'd look at a chess piece that just moved itself. "Clear the room," he said quietly to his bodyguards. They moved. Professional now. Efficient. Herding the panicked wealthy people toward the exits while more security flooded in from the back. Someone was crying. Someone else was on the phone, probably calling lawyers before calling police. This was that kind of place. Kaia stayed where she was, breathing hard. Adrenaline making her hands shake slightly. She forced them to stop, forced herself to look calm, look forgettable. Lucien walked over to her. Up close, he was taller than she'd thought. His eyes were gray, cold gray, the kind of eyes that had seen things and stopped being bothered by them. "What's your name?" he asked. "Kaia." Her voice came out steady. "Good. Kaia Vale. How did you know?" "Laser sight on your glass. Sniper, probably across the street. You were sitting still long enough for an easy shot." He studied her, not staring, studying, like he was cataloging details the same way she'd been doing to him 5 minutes ago. "You worked security before?" "No." "Military?" "No." "Then how—" "I pay attention," she said. "It's a survival skill." Something flickered across his face. Not quite a smile, not quite approval, just acknowledgement. One of his bodyguards approached, the one who'd been standing in the wrong position. "Sir, we need to move you—" "I'm fine." "Sir, protocol?" "I said I'm fine." Lucien didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. The bodyguard shut up. "What's your name?" The bodyguard blinked. "Marcus, sir." "How long have you worked for me, Marcus?" 3 years, sir." "And in 3 years, did you notice the laser sight?" Silence. "Did you notice the sniper position across the street?" More silence. "Did you notice anything except your own incompetence?" Marcus's face went red. "Sir, You're done. Get out." "Mr. Drakov, now." Marcus left. The other bodyguard, younger, newer, looked like he was trying to become invisible. Kaia understood the impulse. Lucien turned back to her. "You saved my life." Maybe. Or maybe the sniper would have missed. Professional snipers don't miss. He paused. Come with me. It wasn't a request. Not quite an order either, somewhere in between. The kind of thing powerful people said when they expected to be obeyed and usually were. Kaia should have said no. Should have walked away. She'd saved his life, that should be enough. But she'd also just seen him fire a man with the same casual efficiency most people use to order coffee. And she'd seen the way his other bodyguards looked at her now. Not grateful, suspicious. She'd made herself visible. In this world, that was dangerous. Where? She asked. Somewhere we can talk without windows. The somewhere turned out to be a private office on the second floor. Wood paneling, expensive desk, no windows. 2 more bodyguards outside the door. Inside, just Lucien and Kaia, and the kind of silence that felt like pressure. He poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a crystal decanter, offered her one. She took it, but didn't drink. He noticed. Of course he noticed. You think I'd poison you? I think I don't know you. Fair. He sat behind the desk, gestured to the chair across from him. She sat. Tell me about yourself, Kaia Vale. Not much to tell. I work here. Before that, I worked other places. Before that, I grew up poor. Foster system? She kept her face neutral. How'd you know? The way you move, the way you watch everyone. People who grew up safe don't do that. He sipped his whiskey. I grew up poor too. Not foster care. Just poor. The kind of poor where you ate or you paid rent. Not both. Why are you telling me this? Because you saved my life? And I want to know why. Why? I saw a gun. I reacted. That's it. No. He leaned forward slightly. Most people freeze. Trained professionals freeze. You moved without hesitation. That's not instinct. That's something else. Kaia took a drink. The whiskey burned going down. Good whiskey. Smooth. Expensive. The kind of thing she'd never buy for herself. I spent my childhood learning to recognize danger, she said. You get good at it when getting it wrong means getting hurt. How many foster homes? 18. Something shifted in his eyes. Not sympathy. Sympathy was soft. This was harder. Recognition, maybe. That's a lot of adaptations. Yeah. A lot of learning to read people. Yeah. A lot of learning to survive. She didn't answer. Didn't need to. He sat back. Someone tried to kill me tonight. Professional hit. That means someone paid a lot of money. Which means someone inside my organization gave them information. My schedule, my location, my security protocols. You think it was Marcus? Marcus is an idiot, but he's not a traitor. Traitors are smarter. They wait. They blend in. He paused. I need someone I can trust. You don't know me. No. But you don't know me either. Which means you have no loyalty to anyone else in my organization. No alliances, no debts, no reason to betray me except the usual ones: money, power, fear, and I'm very good at managing those. I'm a cocktail waitress. You were a cocktail waitress. Now you're something else. He finished his whiskey. I'm offering you a job. Head of personal security. You'll coordinate my movements, my schedules, my protection details. You'll report directly to me. No one else. I don't have any training. You have 24 years of survival training. That's more valuable than any certification. He stood. Sleep on it. I'll have someone take you home. Tomorrow, come to this address. He slid a business card across the desk. Plain white. Just an address. No name. No phone number. 9 a.m. if you're interested. And if I'm not? Then you go back to serving drinks and pretending to be invisible. But we both know that's not an option anymore. He was right. She'd made herself visible. The other staff would talk. Word would spread. The people who'd tried to kill Lucien would wonder about the waitress who'd saved him. Wonder if she'd seen something. Wonder if she knew something. She was already a target. The only question was whether she'd be a protected target or an exposed one. She took the card. 9 a.m. Good. He walked to the door, then paused. One more thing. Do you own a gun? No? You will by tomorrow. He opened the door. Marcus was incompetent, but he was right about one thing. Protocol matters. Someone just tried to kill me. They'll try again. Next time, I want you ready. A bodyguard, not Marcus, Drove her home in a black SUV with bulletproof glass and the kind of engine that purred like money. He didn't talk. Neither did she. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet, still reflecting lights like the whole city was underwater. Her apartment was in a building that hadn't been nice even when it was new. Fifth floor walk-up, radiator that clanked, neighbors who fought at 2 a.m. But it was hers. She'd earned it. Every paycheck, every shift, every time some drunk asshole grabbed her ass and she smiled and said thank you because rent was due. The bodyguard waited while she climbed the stairs, making sure she got inside safely, or making sure she actually lived where she said she lived. Hard to tell. Inside, she locked 3 separate locks, chain, deadbolt, doorknob, then leaned against the door and let herself shake. What the hell had she just done? She'd saved a man's life. That part was fine. Good, even. But then she'd stayed, talked to him, taken his card, agreed to show up tomorrow at an address she didn't recognize to discuss a job she wasn't qualified for with a man who probably had more blood on his hands than a surgeon. Stupid, reckless, dangerous. But also, she looked around her apartment. 1 room plus a bathroom with a shower that never got properly hot. A mattress on the floor because she couldn't afford a bed frame. Clothes in cardboard boxes because dressers cost money. Dinner tonight had been instant ramen and tap water. She was 24 years old. She worked 60-hour weeks for tips that barely covered rent. She had no family, no safety net, no backup plan. 1 bad month and she'd be homeless. 1 injury and she'd be finished. And tomorrow, a man who owned half of Chicago was offering her a way out. Maybe it was stupid, but staying here was stupid too, just slower. She didn't sleep much. Lay on the mattress staring at the water-stained ceiling while sirens screamed outside and her brain replayed the evening on loop. The laser sight, the tackle, the window exploding, Lucien's cold gray eyes looking at her like a puzzle he was already solving. At 5 a.m., she gave up on sleep, showered in lukewarm water, made instant coffee, stood by the window watching the city wake up. Chicago looked different at dawn. Softer, almost peaceful. Almost forgivable. She wore the only professional clothes she owned, black pants, white blouse, black jacket from a thrift store that almost fit. Pulled her dark hair back into a ponytail. No makeup, no jewelry. She wanted to look competent, not decorative. The address was in a neighborhood she'd only seen from buses. Big houses set back from the street, gates, security cameras, trees that looked expensive somehow. Old money, or at least money that had been here long enough to plant roots. The house itself was 3 stories of stone and iron, Victorian architecture updated with modern security, cameras at every angle, motion sensors. The gate opened automatically as she approached, which meant someone was watching, always watching. A different bodyguard met her at the door. Older than the one from last night. Harder face. He checked her ID, then patted her down. Professional, efficient, no grabbing, no lingering, just business. He's in the study, the bodyguard said. 2nd floor, I'll take you. The inside of the house was exactly what she'd expected. Expensive without being gaudy. Tasteful. The kind of place designed by people who understood that real wealth whispered instead of shouted. Hardwood floors. Art on the walls. Real art, the kind museums borrowed. A grand staircase that curved up to the 2nd floor. The study was all dark wood and leather. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves filled with books that looked red, not decorative. A desk the size of her entire apartment. Windows overlooking the back garden, but they were polarized. You could see out, but no one could see in. Smart. Lucien was reading a tablet when she entered. He looked up. You came. You thought I wouldn't? I thought there was a chance you'd reconsider once your adrenaline wore off and basic survival instinct kicked in. He set the tablet down. Coffee? Sure. He poured from a French press on the desk. Real coffee. Good coffee. The kind that smelled like money tasted. He handed her a cup in a porcelain mug that probably cost more than her security deposit. Do you know who I am? He asked. You're Lucien Drakov. You own things. Some legal, some not. People are afraid of you. Does that bother you? Should it? Most people think it should. Most people haven't spent their lives learning that the world doesn't care about should. She sipped the coffee. Perfect temperature, perfect strength. You said someone inside your organization betrayed you. What makes you so sure? because the sniper knew where I'd be sitting. The reservation was made under a false name. Only 5 people knew about it. Me, my driver, my head of security, and 2 senior advisors. Could be the restaurant staff. Could be. But the timing was too precise. They knew exactly when I'd arrive, exactly where I'd sit. That's not outside observation, that's inside information. So what do you want me to do about it? He smiled. Actually smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. I want you to find out who's trying to kill me. I'm not a detective. No. But you noticed things. You saw the laser sight. You saw my bodyguard's positioning was wrong. You process patterns. He leaned forward. Someone in my organization has been leaking information. I need to know who. I need to know how long. I need to know what they've compromised. Why me? Why not hire actual security professionals? Because actual security professionals can be bought. You can't. You don't know that. Yes, I do. You know how I know? He paused. Because if you could be bought, you already would have been. 24 years old, working for tips, living in a 5th floor walk-up with locks on every door. You're broke, Kaia, not poor. Broke. There's a difference. Poor is circumstance. Broke is choice. You chose to stay clean instead of easy. That tells me everything I need to know. She didn't answer, couldn't answer, because he was right, and she hated that he was right. I'm offering you $200,000 a year, he said, plus housing, plus security, plus whatever resources you need. In exchange, you figure out who's trying to kill me, and you make sure they don't succeed. $200,000. She made $32,000 last year, before taxes, before rent, before food, before everything else that costs money just to exist. If I say yes, she said slowly, what happens to my life? You mean your old life? He shook his head. That's gone already. The moment you saved me, you became visible. To me, to my enemies, to everyone watching. You can't go back to being a waitress. The only question is whether you move forward with protection or without it. That's not really a choice. No, it's not. But I'm pretending it is because I need you to choose it. I need you committed, not coerced. Coercion breeds resentment. Resentment breeds betrayal. He finished his coffee. So, what do you say? Kaia looked around the study. At the expensive books and the expensive furniture and the expensive life being offered to her like a trap disguised as opportunity. Because that's what it was. A trap. Once she stepped into this world, there'd be no stepping out. She'd be part of it, owned by it. But she was already owned, by rent, by poverty, by the constant calculation of whether she could afford to eat lunch or if she should skip it to save $7. At least this trap came with coffee that didn't taste like dirt. I'm in, she said. Good. He stood. We start now. I'm taking you to one of my properties outside the city. Secure location. We'll run through everything, my routines, my contacts, my security protocols. You'll identify weaknesses, then we'll fix them. When? I said now. He walked to the door. Someone tried to kill me yesterday. They failed. That means they're regrouping, planning. The next attempt will be better, more professional. We have maybe 72 hours before they try again. How do you know? Because that's what I'd do. The property turned out to be a compound. No other word for it. 20 acres of forested land along Lake Michigan with a main house, 2 guest houses, and enough security to guard a small nation. Cameras everywhere. Motion sensors, armed guards at the gate, and roaming the grounds. The kind of place where threats died before they got close. Lucien brought her into the main house, more modern than his city residence, all glass and steel and open spaces designed for sightlines, and spent the next 6 hours walking her through his organization. Not the illegal parts, not directly. But she wasn't stupid. She could read between the lines. Import-export businesses that moved more than just cargo. Real estate holdings that generated more cash than property values justified. Investment portfolios that never seemed to lose money even when markets crashed. He owned pieces of Chicago the same way landowners used to own feudal estates. Not through force, exactly. Through understanding. Through knowing which levers to pull and which people to protect and which threats to eliminate. Security has gotten sloppy, he said, pulling up schedules on a laptop. Same routes to the same meetings at the same times. Same restaurants, same drivers. Patterns are comfortable. Patterns are also suicide. Kaia studied the schedules. He was right. Someone tracking him would have dozens of opportunities. You need randomization. Never the same route twice, never the same vehicle. Stagger your timing by at least 15 minutes in either direction. My people won't like it. Your people aren't getting shot at. He smiled, that cold smile again. I like you, Kaia Vale. Don't. I'm just trying to stay alive. Same thing. They worked through lunch, sandwiches brought by staff who appeared and disappeared like ghosts, and into the afternoon. Kaia tore apart his security protocols piece by piece. His advanced teams were predictable. His communication channels were compromised. His bodyguards were loyal, but not creative. Everything built around routines that had worked for years, which meant they'd stop working soon. You trust your head of security? She asked. Victor? With my life? Maybe don't. Lucien's eyes went cold. Explain. I'm not saying he's the traitor. I'm saying trust is how traitors work. They earn it first. Then they exploit it. She pulled up a file on the laptop. Who has access to your schedules? Victor, my assistant, my driver. And who do they trust? He didn't answer. Exactly, Kaia said. Trust spreads. One person tells another. By the time your schedule reaches the sniper, it's passed through how many hands? Too many. So we cut the chain. From now on, nobody knows your schedule except you and me. We plan movements day of. Random timing, random locations. If someone wants to kill you, they'll have to get lucky. We're not giving them anything else. That's going to piss off a lot of people. Good. Pissed off people make mistakes, traitors especially. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded. Do it. They worked until midnight. By the time Kaia's brain was mush and her eyes were burning, they'd rewritten every security protocol, fired 3 more bodyguards who couldn't explain gaps in their surveillance logs, and created a new communication system using encrypted phones that changed codes every 6 hours. Lucien showed her to one of the guest houses. 2 bedrooms, full kitchen, bathroom, with a tub big enough to drown in. Luxury she'd never experienced outside of magazines. There's food in the fridge, he said. Clothes in the closet, multiple sizes, something should fit. Get some sleep. We start again at 6. 6 a.m.? Someone's trying to kill me. I don't get to sleep in. He left. The door locked automatically behind him. She checked anyway. Old habits. The guest house was silent except for the hum of expensive climate control. Kaia walked through it slowly, cataloging exits. 2 doors, 4 windows, security system armed, guards outside. Safe as she'd ever been. So why did her hands still shake? She made herself eat. Leftover pasta from the fridge that tasted like it came from a restaurant with Michelin stars. Took a shower hot enough to scald. Changed into pajamas from the closet that fit perfectly, which meant someone had guessed her size from looking at her once. That should have been creepy. It was definitely creepy. But also kind of impressive. She lay in a bed with sheets that cost more than her monthly rent, and stared at the ceiling and wondered what the hell she was doing. 24 hours ago, she'd been a waitress. Now she was sleeping in a compound, working for a crime lord, hunting a traitor who'd already killed people, probably. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Sleep well. Tomorrow we find out who wants me dead. LD. She stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, "What if it's someone you trust?" His response came immediately. "Then I trusted the wrong person. Won't be the first time." She wanted to ask what he meant. Wanted to ask a lot of things. But exhaustion hit like a truck, and she was asleep before she could type another word. Her dreams were full of laser sights and exploding windows and cold gray eyes watching her from the dark. She woke at 5:30 to someone pounding on the door. Heart racing, she grabbed the closest thing to a weapon, a heavy lamp from the nightstand, and approached cautiously. "It's Victor," a voice called. "Lucien wants you at the main house. Now." She dressed fast. Same clothes from yesterday because she didn't have anything else. Followed Victor, a man in his 50s with scars on his knuckles and eyes that had seen too much, across the grounds to the main house. Lucien was in the security room, wall of monitors showing every angle of the property. He looked like he hadn't slept. Probably hadn't. "We have a problem," he said without preamble. "Someone accessed my personal files last night. from inside this compound. Kaia's stomach dropped. How? That's what we're going to find out. He pulled up footage from the security cameras. Whoever it was knew where the cameras were, avoided them, but they missed one. He pointed to a monitor showing a hallway. Dark. Empty. Then a shadow moving along the wall. Fast. Professional. Can you ID them? Kaia asked. No, but I can narrow it down. He pulled up a list on another screen. These are the only people who were in the compound last night. Staff, security, you, me. 12 people total. You think it's one of them? I know it is. He looked at her. I need you to figure out which one. How? The same way you figured out there was a sniper. Watch them. Notice things. People who are nervous act differently. People who are guilty act differently. Find the difference. That's not exactly scientific. No, but you don't need science. You need instinct. He handed her a tablet. Personnel files. Read them. Memorize them. Then watch everyone like they're trying to kill me. Because one of them is. Kaia spent the next 4 hours doing exactly that. Reading files, memorizing faces, learning patterns. Then she walked the compound, pretending to familiarize herself with the layout, while actually studying every person she passed. The kitchen staff, the security guards, the groundskeepers, the driver, the assistant. One of them was a traitor. She watched how they moved, how they talked, how they looked at Lucien. Fear, respect, loyalty, all easy to fake. She needed something deeper, something they couldn't control. She found it during lunch. Everyone ate in shifts in the staff dining room. Simple food, nothing fancy. Kaia sat in the corner with a sandwich she didn't taste, watching. The driver ate alone, scrolling his phone. The assistant ate with 2 of the security guards, laughing at something. Normal. Natural. But one guard, younger, maybe 30, kept glancing at his watch. Every few minutes, like he was waiting for something, or timing something. Kaia made a note. Kept watching. That afternoon she followed him. Not obviously. Just happened to be in the same places, happened to see him make a phone call in the garden where cameras had a blind spot. Happened to notice him slip something into his jacket before heading back inside. She found Lucien in the study. The young guard, Ben something. He's your leak. You're sure? No, but he's nervous, making calls in camera blind spots, checking his watch like he's on a schedule. Worth investigating. Lucien made a call. 5 minutes later, Ben was in the study, flanked by 2 larger guards. He looked terrified. Tell me about the phone call, Lucien said quietly. What phone call? The one you made in the garden 30 minutes ago. Ben's face went white. That was personal. Show me your phone. Sir, that's an invasion. Show me your phone. Ben hesitated. That was answer enough. One of the guards grabbed him, pulled the phone from his pocket. Lucien unlocked it with Ben's fingerprint while the guard held him still. Scrolled through messages. His face didn't change, but something in his eyes did, something cold and final. How much did they pay you? Lucien asked. I don't know what. How much? Silence. 50,000, Lucie. Read from the phone. $50,000 to report my movements, my schedule, who visits, when I sleep. He looked up. How long? 3 months, Ben whispered. 3 months. Lucien set the phone down. And last night? They wanted to know if you were alone, if you'd brought anyone new to the compound. I told them you brought a woman. They asked her name. I didn't know it. But you described her. Ben nodded. So now they know about Kaia. Lucien's voice was perfectly calm, terrifyingly calm. They know she's helping me, which makes her a target. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're scared. There's a difference. He gestured to the guards. Take him to the basement. I'll deal with him later. They dragged Ben out. He was crying, begging. Lucien didn't look at him. When the door closed, he turned to Kaia. You were right. I trusted the wrong person. What happens to him? Do you want to know? She thought about it, about Ben crying, about the basement and what probably happened there, about the kind of man who ran an empire like this. No, she said. Good. Because knowing makes you complicit. And you're not. Not yet. He poured himself a drink. Didn't offer her one this time. They know about you now. That's a problem. For me or for you? Both. So what do we do? He drank. Thought. We use it. If they think you're just my security consultant, they'll try to neutralize you, kill you, threaten you, bribe you. Any of those options gives us an opportunity. An opportunity for what? To draw them out, make them come to us. He set the glass down. How do you feel about being bait? Kaia looked at him. At the cold gray eyes and the expensive suit and the casual way he'd just sent a man to the basement to be dealt with. This was the world she'd stepped into. The world where people were chess pieces and survival meant being willing to sacrifice pawns. She could say no. Could walk away. Could disappear into Chicago and hope they forgot about her. But they wouldn't forget, and she knew it. I'm in, she said for the second time in 24 hours. This time, she knew exactly what she was agreeing to. And it scared her more than the sniper's bullet ever had. Being bait sounded simple in theory. In practice, it meant walking around with a target painted on your back and pretending you didn't notice the crosshairs. Lucien's plan was straightforward enough. Make Kaia visible. Let whoever was trying to kill him see her as a vulnerability, a weak point, something they could exploit. Then watch what they did about it. The problem was that Kaia had spent her entire life trying not to be visible, and now she had to unlearn 24 years of survival instinct in 72 hours. They started the next morning. Lucien had her accompany him to a meeting downtown. Legitimate business, he said. Real estate acquisition. Nothing dangerous. But the people trying to kill him would be watching. They'd see her. See that she was more than just a waitress who got lucky. See that Lucien trusted her enough to bring her to actual business. The building was all steel and glass in the financial district. The kind of place where people wore suits that cost more than cars and talked about millions like they were discussing the weather. Kaia wore clothes that Victor's wife had brought. Designer label, perfect fit, the kind of professional outfit that said, serious person doing serious things. She felt like a fraud. Lucien noticed. Of course he noticed. Relax, he said in the elevator. Just the two of them and the quiet hum of machinery. You look fine. I look like I'm playing dress-up. No, you look like someone who belongs here. There's a difference. The elevator climbed, floor numbers ticking up. The people we're meeting don't know you. They don't know you're new to this. As far as they're concerned, you've been doing this for years. So act like it. How? Say less than you want to. Move less than you need to. People interpret stillness as confidence. The elevator stopped. Doors opened. And remember, these people are afraid of me, which means they're afraid of anyone I bring with me. The meeting was in a conference room with views of Lake Michigan stretching to the horizon. 6 people around a table, developers, lawyers, someone from the city planning office who definitely shouldn't have been there. They all stood when Lucien entered, respectful, nervous. Kaia stood behind him and to his left, close enough to hear everything, far enough to be unobtrusive. She didn't sit, didn't speak, just watched. The meeting lasted 90 minutes. Technical discussion about zoning variances and construction permits and financial structures that sounded legal but probably weren't, not entirely. Kaia understood maybe half of it, but she understood the dynamic. These people needed Lucien more than he needed them. They were asking permission. He was granting favors. Power wasn't loud. It was quiet. It was being the person everyone else checked with before making decisions. When they left, one of the developers tried to talk to Kaia in the hallway. I don't think we've met. Are you new to Mr. Drakov's team? She looked at Lucien. He gave the slightest nod. I'm his security consultant, she said. Security? Really? You don't look like what? The developer's smile faltered. I just meant you seem young for such a serious position. I'm old enough. She walked past him without waiting for a response. In the car, different vehicle than yesterday, different driver, different route per Kaia's protocols, Lucien actually laughed. Quiet sound. Almost surprised, like he'd forgotten how. What? Kaia asked. You handled that well. I didn't do anything. Exactly. He wanted to categorize you, understand you. You didn't give him anything. He looked out the window at Chicago sliding past. Most people can't resist explaining themselves. You just walked away. Learned that in foster care, too. Explanations make you vulnerable. Smart. His phone buzzed. He checked it, frowned. We have a problem. What kind? The kind where someone just posted your photo on 3 different surveillance channels used by people who do this kind of work. Kaia's stomach went cold. What do you mean, surveillance channels? Dark web networks. Places where information gets sold. Your face is on there now with a caption, "New addition to Drakov operation. Identity unknown. Approach with caution." How do you know about these channels? Because I use them too. He made a call, spoke quickly in a language Kaia didn't recognize. Hung up. My people are trying to trace the source, but it's buried under encryption. Multiple proxies, professional work. So what does that mean for me? It means they're cataloging you, figuring out who you are, where you came from, looking for leverage. He paused. How much do you care about your old life? What old life? I've got an apartment full of nothing and a job I'm never going back to. Friends? Family? No and no. Good. That makes this easier. He leaned forward, spoke to the driver. Change of plans. Take us to the apartment. They went to Kaia's building, the one with the broken buzzer and the stairs that smelled like piss and decades of resignation. She'd lived there 18 months, long enough that the neighbors knew her face but not her name. That was intentional. Lucien sent 2 bodyguards up first to clear the apartment. They came back 5 minutes later and gave the all clear. Kaia led Lucien up the 5 flights. He didn't comment on the peeling paint or the water damage or the way the railing wobbled under your hand, just climbed silently. Inside, her apartment looked smaller with him in it, like his presence took up more space than his body should. He walked through slowly, cataloging, the mattress on the floor, the cardboard boxes, the mini fridge that hummed too loud, the single window with its view of another building's brick wall. How long have you lived like this? He asked. 18 months here, before that, places like it. Your whole adult life. Yeah. He picked up a book from the floor. Old paperback, bent cover. Survival psychology? Library. She took it from him. I like understanding why people do what they do. And what did you learn? That everyone's got a breaking point, and that survival isn't about being strong. It's about being stubborn enough to keep going when you should quit. He nodded slowly. We're taking everything you want to keep. The rest stays. Why? Because they've got your face now. Soon they'll have your name, then your address. This place becomes a target. You're not coming back here. Kaia looked around. At the shitty apartment with its shitty furniture and its shitty everything, she should have felt sad. Should have felt something, but mostly she just felt tired. She packed 1 bag, clothes, the books, a photograph of her and a foster sister from when she was 12. The only photo she owned of herself smiling. Nothing else worth taking. They were in the car heading back to the compound when her phone rang. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. Answer it, Lucien said. Speaker. She did. Hello? Kaia Vale? Man's voice. Calm. Professional. No accent she could place. Who's asking? Someone who'd like to offer you an opportunity. I'm not interested. You haven't heard the offer yet. Don't need to. I'm hanging up now. Wait. Pause. You're working for Lucien Drakov. That's a mistake. Is it? He's going to get you killed. You understand that, right? You saved his life, and now you're a target. People who work for Drakov don't retire. They just stop showing up. Thanks for the warning. She moved to hang up. $200,000, the voice said. Walk away right now. Disappear. We'll pay you $200,000 to forget you ever met him. Kaia looked at Lucien. His face was stone, cold, listening. That's a lot of money, she said carefully. It's a bargain, compared to what your life is worth. And if I say no, then we have to solve the problem you represent. And we'd rather not. You seem like a smart woman. Smart women take deals. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. This offer expires in 24 hours. The line went dead. Kaia set the phone down. Her hands were steady. Good. She needed them steady. Well, Lucien said quietly, that was fast. They're testing me. Yes. Seeing if I can be bought. Yes. What would you do if I took their money? He looked at her, really looked at her, not the way men usually looked, not like he was seeing a woman, like he was seeing a chess piece deciding which side of the board it wanted to be on. I'd respect the hustle, he said finally, and then I'd have you killed. Just like that? Just like that. Nothing personal, just business. You're either with me or you're a liability. There's no in between. That's cold. Yes, it is. He didn't apologize, didn't explain, just stated it like gravity, like a fact of nature. Kaia laughed. Couldn't help it. Bitter sound. You know what's funny? That's the most honest thing anyone said to me in years. Everyone else pretends they care, pretends it matters. You just tell me straight, betray you, and you'll kill me. Would you prefer I lied? No, I'm just not used to honesty. They drove in silence for a while. Rain starting again. Always raining in this city, like Chicago was trying to wash itself clean and failing every time. Are you going to take their offer? Lucien asked. No. Why not? Because $200,000 buys me maybe 5 years, 10 if I'm careful. Then what? I'm back to waitressing. Back to apartments with cardboard boxes. Back to surviving instead of living. She watched the rain. You're offering me something more permanent. I'm offering you danger. Yeah, but at least it's interesting danger. He almost smiled. Fair enough. Back at the compound, things moved fast. Victor had the security team assembled in the main house. 8 guards, plus the driver, plus Victor himself. Lucien walked Kaia through introductions. Names, faces, backgrounds. She memorized them. Not because she trusted them, because she needed to know who to watch. From now on, Lucien told them, all security decisions go through Kaia. She coordinates movements, approves protocols, and has full authority to override anyone, including Victor. Questions? Silence. But not comfortable silence, hostile silence. The kind that came from pride getting stepped on. An older guard, Marcus's replacement, guy named Thomas, spoke up. No disrespect, but why are we taking orders from someone with no experience? Because she noticed things you didn't, Lucien said. She saw the sniper. She identified Ben. She's keeping me alive. That's more valuable than experience. Still, I'm done explaining. Lucien's voice went cold. Absolute. You work for me. She represents me. Refuse her orders and you're refusing mine. We clear? Yes, sir. Good. Dismissed. They filed out. Thomas last. He gave Kaia a look on his way past. Not threatening exactly, just measuring. Deciding how much of a problem she was going to be. When they were alone, Victor stayed behind. Can I speak freely? You always do, Lucien said. They're not wrong. She's inexperienced. This is putting her, and you, at risk. Noted. Lucien, I said noted. Pause. How long have we known each other, Victor? 12 years. And in 12 years, have I ever made a major decision without reason? No. Then trust that I have reason now. Victor looked at Kaia. Long look, assessing, then back to Lucien. She's not going to last. This world breaks people. It'll break her. Maybe. Or maybe she's already broken. Maybe that's what makes her useful. Lucien gestured toward the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow we're restructuring the entire operation. It's going to be a long week. Victor left. When the door closed, Kaia let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. He's right, she said. I'm going to get you killed. Possibly. Lucien poured 2 glasses of whiskey, handed her one. But everyone gets me killed eventually. At least you're interesting while you do it. That's fatalistic. That's realistic. I've been in this business 15 years. I've buried friends, family, employees. Everyone who gets close either dies or betrays me. Usually both. He drank. So yes, you'll probably get me killed, but in the meantime, you're making it harder for my enemies to do it. That's good enough. Jesus, do you ever just have a normal conversation? What's normal? I don't know. Small talk, hobbies, favorite movies? I don't watch movies. Books? Military strategy, psychology, nothing fun. Music? Classical, when I remember to turn it on. Christ, you're depressing. Yes. He refilled his glass. What about you? What's Kaia Vale do for fun? Survive, mostly. Before that, she thought back, way back. Before foster care. Before her mom disappeared and the state took over. I used to draw, pencils, charcoal, nothing good. Just shapes, faces, whatever I saw. Why'd you stop? No time, no money, no point. She finished her whiskey, felt it burn. Survival doesn't leave room for hobbies. No, it doesn't. He set his glass down, looked at her with those cold gray eyes that saw too much. You're going to have to make a choice soon, Kaia. What choice? Whether you want to just survive or actually live. He stood. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we're moving locations. They know about this compound now. Ben told them. So we shift. Keep moving. Make ourselves harder to track. Where to? Somewhere they won't expect. He walked to the door, paused. And Kaia, when they call back with that offer, don't answer. Let me handle it. What are you going to do? Make them regret calling. He left. Kaia sat in the empty study with the whiskey and the expensive furniture and the weight of choices she couldn't unmake. She'd crossed a line. She knew that. The moment she saved Lucien's life, she'd stepped into a world where people got killed for less than that. For being in the wrong place. For knowing too much. For just existing. But what choice did she have? Go back to waitressing? Go back to apartments with water stains and ramen dinners? Go back to disappearing? At least here, she was visible. At least here she mattered, even if it killed her. The next 72 hours were chaos orchestrated to look like routine. Lucien moved them between 3 different safe houses across Chicago and the suburbs. Different locations every 12 hours. Never the same route twice. Never advance warning to anyone except Kaia. She coordinated everything, vehicles, drivers, timing, kept the schedules locked in encrypted files that changed passwords every hour. Victor hated it. She could see it in his face every time she gave an order, every time she changed a route, every time she overrode his suggestions. He'd built this organization's security from nothing, 12 years of protocols and systems, and now some 24-year-old waitress was tearing it apart and rebuilding it her way. But he didn't argue, not directly. Just watched her with eyes that calculated risk the way accountants calculated numbers. The 3rd safe house was in a suburb an hour from downtown. Big house. Quiet street, the kind of place where neighbors minded their own business because they had things to mind too. Lucien took the master bedroom. Kaia got the guest room down the hall. 2 bodyguards outside, 2 more roaming the property. Everyone armed, everyone paranoid. It was 2 a.m. when Kaia heard footsteps in the hallway. She was awake anyway, hadn't slept properly in days. Too wired, too aware of how exposed they were despite all the precautions. She grabbed the gun from the nightstand, Glock 19, courtesy of Victor's extremely thorough weapons training yesterday, and moved to the door. Listened. Someone was moving carefully, professionally, not trying to be quiet exactly, just controlled. She opened the door fast, gun up. Victor stood there, also armed, also awake. They stared at each other in the dim hallway light. Couldn't sleep? He asked quietly. No. She lowered the gun. You? I don't sleep much anymore. Comes with the job. He gestured toward the stairs. Coffee? They sat in the kitchen. Quiet house, quiet street. The kind of silence that felt temporary, like violence was just taking a break. Victor made coffee. Real coffee. French press like Lucien used. He poured 2 cups, slid one across the counter to Kaia. You're doing better than I expected, he said. Thanks? That wasn't a compliment, just an observation. He drank. You're smart, quick. You see patterns, but you're also naive. How so? You think this is about keeping Lucien alive. It's not. It's about power, control, territory. Lucien's alive right now, but tomorrow? Next week? Eventually someone's going to be faster, smarter, luckier, and when that happens, everyone close to him becomes collateral damage. Why are you telling me this? Because I like you. Against my better judgment, I actually like you. He set his cup down. You remind me of someone I used to know. Someone who thought they could survive this world by being smart and careful. What happened to them? They died. Flat statement, no emotion. Killed by someone they trusted, someone they shouldn't have trusted. But that's the thing about this business. You can't trust anyone. Not really. Not completely. Not even Lucien? Victor's face changed, hardened. Especially not Lucien. What's that mean? It means Lucien Drakov is a brilliant man, strategic, ruthless, effective. But he's also human. And humans make mistakes. The mistake he's making right now is thinking you're different from everyone else he's brought into his organization. And I'm not? No, you're not. You're just newer. He finished his coffee. When they come for him, and they will come, you're going to have to make a choice. Save yourself or save him. Most people choose themselves. The ones who don't, they're the ones who die. You didn't. No, I didn't, and I've regretted it every day since. He stood. Get some sleep, Kaia. Tomorrow's going to be harder than today, and the day after that will be harder still. That's how this works. It doesn't get easier, it just gets harder until it ends. He left. Kaia sat alone in the kitchen with cold coffee and the weight of words that felt like prophecy. Victor had seen this movie before. He knew how it ended, and he was trying to warn her. But warnings didn't matter when you were already in too deep. She went back to her room, didn't sleep, just lay there thinking about choices and consequences and the way survival sometimes looked identical to surrender. Morning came gray and cold. Chicago in October, when the city started remembering what winter felt like. They moved locations again, this time to a downtown hotel, penthouse suite, 20 floors up. Security in the lobby, the elevator, the hallway. Layers of protection that felt solid until you remembered that snipers worked from distance and bombs didn't care about bodyguards. Lucien had meetings, legitimate business again. Kaia sat in, listened, learned. These weren't drug dealers or enforcers. These were businessmen in $1,000 suits talking about shipping routes and inventory management. Code for other things, probably, but coded well enough that you couldn't prove it. After, in the suite, Lucien loosened his tie and poured himself a drink. 3 p.m. and he was already exhausted. Kaia could see it in the way he moved, the weight of running an empire. You're tired, she said. I'm always tired. When's the last time you slept properly? Define properly. More than 4 hours, without a weapon under your pillow. He actually smiled. Years. That's not sustainable. No, it's not. But neither is this business. You sustain until you can't, then you die. That's the contract. He sat heavily in an expensive chair. How are you holding up? I'm fine. Liar. Okay, I'm terrified. Better? Honest, at least. He drank. Victor talked to you last night? Yeah, how'd you know? Because Victor talks to everyone I bring in. Tells them the same thing. This world will break you. Save yourself. Get out while you can. He paused. Did he mention how he's been with me 12 years? He mentioned it. Did he mention that 12 years ago, I pulled him out of a situation that would have killed him? That I saved his life the same way you saved mine? No. He never does. Lucien stared at his drink. Victor's loyal, but he's also bitter. He's seen too much, lost too much. So he tries to save people by scaring them away. Usually works, but not always. No, not always. Some people are too stubborn to scare. He looked at her. You're one of them. How do you know? Because you're still here. Before Kaia could respond, her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Just an address. Nothing else. That's them, Lucien said. The people who tried to buy you. How do you know? Because I've been waiting for this. He stood. Set his drink down. They want a meeting, face to face. That address is a warehouse in the industrial district. Neutral ground. You're not seriously considering going? I'm absolutely going. He pulled on his jacket. This is what we wanted. Draw them out. Make them come to us. And if it's a trap, then it's a well-executed trap and we'll adapt. He checked his gun. You're coming with me. Lucien, not negotiable. You're my security consultant. This is your job. Victor assembled a team, 6 guards plus the 2 of them plus Kaia. Everyone armed. Everyone silent. They took 3 vehicles, armored SUVs with bulletproof glass and engines that could outrun most things on wheels. The warehouse was exactly what Kaia expected. Abandoned building, broken windows, graffiti. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody asked questions afterward. They parked a block away, approached on foot, tactical formation. Victor leading, Lucien in the middle, Kaia beside him, guards surrounding. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous, empty except for old machinery and pigeons and decades of industrial decay. Their footsteps echoed. Everything echoed. A man stood in the center, alone, tall, expensive coat, hands in pockets. Too calm, too confident. Lucien Drakov, the man said, voice smooth, educated. Thank you for coming. I don't believe we've met, Lucien said. No, we haven't. I'm just a messenger. For who? For people who'd prefer you retire. The man smiled. Nothing personal, just business. You've built an impressive operation, but it's time to hand it over to new management. And if I refuse, then things get messy. People die, including Miss Vale there. The man looked at Kaia. She's remarkably photogenic, by the way. The surveillance photos really don't do her justice. Kaia's blood went cold. Leave her out of this, Lucien said quietly. She put herself in this when she saved your life. The man shrugged. But we're reasonable. We don't want to kill anyone unless necessary. So here's the offer. You step down, walk away, retire to somewhere warm. In exchange, we let you live, let her live. Everyone lives. Everyone's happy. Except I lose everything I built. You keep your life. That seems like a fair trade. And if I say no, the man's smile vanished. Then we start with her. Lucien moved so fast Kaia almost didn't see it. Gun out. Aimed. Repeat that. Easy. The man didn't flinch. Kill me and you learn nothing. My people don't even know I'm here. I'm expendable. But the information I have, that's valuable. Names, locations. How many people inside your organization are working for us? How many? More than you think, less than you fear. He paused. Put the gun down. Let's talk like reasonable men. Lucien didn't lower the gun. Neither did Victor. Neither did any of the guards. Mexican standoff. Everyone armed. Everyone waiting. You have 60 seconds, Lucien said. Talk. Your head of security, Victor Soren. The man nodded toward Victor. Did you know he's been feeding us information for 6 months? Everything stopped. Victor's face went white. That's a lie. Is it? Then how did we know about the Bennett Street safe house? The one you moved to last week. The one only 3 people knew about. You, Lucien, and Miss Vale. I didn't. Bank transfers, offshore accounts. $300,000 over 6 months. We can prove all of it. The man smiled. But we don't need to. Because you already know it's true. Don't you, Lucien? Lucien's gun shifted, slowly, from the messenger to Victor. Lucien, no, Victor said, voice shaking now. He's lying. This is what they do. Turn us against each other. $300,000, Lucien said quietly. Is that what I'm worth to you? I never... The offshore accounts. They're real? Silence. Victor, the accounts, are they real? More silence. Then, yes, but not for that. I was saving money? Planning retirement? Lucien's voice was ice. Pure ice. Or selling me piece by piece. They threatened my family. You don't have family. My sister, her kids. They said they'd kill them if I didn't. Your sister who died 4 years ago? Lucien stepped closer, gun steady. Try again. Victor's face crumbled. I'm sorry. When? 6 months. After the Hernandez deal. They approached me, offered money, security, a way out. He looked at Kaia. She was right. You shouldn't have trusted me, but you did, and I... His voice broke. I'm sorry. Kaia felt like the floor had disappeared. Victor, 12-year veteran. Lucien's right hand. The man who'd trained her, warned her, made her coffee at 2 a.m. A traitor. Why? Lucien asked. Because I'm tired. Victor's laugh was broken glass. 15 years in this business, watching people die, killing people, never sleeping, never trusting anyone. I wanted out. They offered me out. So you sold me? Yes. And Ben? Was that you too? Yes. I recruited him, fed him information, made him think he was the only leak. Victor looked at the messenger. But it wasn't enough, was it? You still want him dead. The messenger shrugged. Business. You used me. Everyone uses everyone. That's how this works. Victor moved fast. Gun up, aimed at the messenger. 3 shots, clean grouping, center, mass. The messenger went down hard. Blood spreading across expensive coat. Then Victor turned the gun on himself. Don't, Lucien said. I'm already dead. Victor's hand shook. Better this way, quick, clean. Before I what? Kill you slowly? Make an example? Lucien lowered his gun. I'm not going to kill you, Victor. Why not? Because you already did. He turned away. Guards. Disarm him. Take him to the car. They moved. Fast. Professional. Victor didn't resist. Just let them take his gun. Let them cuff him. Let them lead him away. The messenger was still alive. Barely. Bleeding out. Gasping. Lucien knelt beside him. Who sent you? You'll figure it out. Names. Ask Victor. He knows everything. Blood on his teeth. Good luck, Drakov. You're going to need it. Then he stopped breathing. Kaia stood frozen. Everything had happened so fast. Victor's confession, the shooting, the death. Too much, too fast. Lucien stood, looked at her. You okay? No. Good. Means you're still human. He holstered his gun. We need to move, now. This place is compromised. Everything's compromised. They ran, out of the warehouse, into the vehicles, engines roaring, tires screaming. Kaia's heart hammering so hard she thought it might break ribs. In the SUV, pressed between 2 guards, she watched Victor in the vehicle ahead. Slumped, defeated. The man who'd warned her about trust had been the reason she shouldn't trust anyone. Where are we going? She asked. Somewhere secure, Solanas, Lucien said from the front seat. Somewhere Victor doesn't know about. You have a place even your head of security doesn't know? I have lots of places he doesn't know about. I'm not stupid. He made calls, rapid-fire instructions to people Kaia couldn't see. We're consolidating, pulling everyone in. No more scattered locations. We fortify and we figure out who else is compromised. How do we know anyone isn't? We don't. But we're about to find out. They drove for 30 minutes. Out of the city, into suburbs. Then beyond into rural land that looked empty, but probably wasn't. Nothing was empty when Lucien Drakov owned it. The compound was hidden behind trees and hills and enough natural barriers that you wouldn't find it unless you knew exactly where to look. Main building, guard towers, fencing, the kind of place designed for sieges. Inside, Lucien assembled everyone, every guard, every driver, every person who worked for him in any capacity that mattered. 30 people total. He made them stand in the main hall while he told them about Victor, about the betrayal, about the fact that there were probably others, about the fact that anyone who was compromised had 24 hours to confess and receive mercy or be discovered and receive none. The silence afterward was absolute. Then Lucien had Victor brought in, still cuffed, still defeated, made him stand in front of everyone. This is what betrayal looks like, Lucien said, voice carrying, cold, final. Take a good look, because this is the last time you'll see him. What are you going to do to me? Victor asked. Nothing. You're going to do it yourself. Lucien handed him a gun. 1 bullet. You said you wanted out. Here's out. Lucien, you've got 2 choices. Pull that trigger and die fast, or refuse and I'll let Kaia decide what happens to you. Your call. Victor looked at Kaia. She looked back, felt nothing. Should have felt something. Anger, betrayal, sadness. But there was just empty space where emotions should have been. I'm sorry, Victor said to her. No, you're not. You're just caught. He nodded, looked at the gun in his hand, looked at Lucien. You know what the worst part is? I actually did care about you, like a brother, like family. And I still sold you. Because caring doesn't matter in this business. Nothing matters except survival. Wrong, Lucien said. Survival matters least of all. Because survival without loyalty is just breathing. And breathing isn't living. Victor raised the gun, put it to his temple, hand shaking. See you in hell, Lucien. Save me a seat. The shot echoed through the hall. Victor dropped. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Kaia stared at the body, at the blood, at the man who'd made her coffee and trained her and warned her and betrayed them all. And she realized Victor had been right about one thing. This world did break people. It just didn't break them the way you expected. Lucien turned to the assembled staff. Anyone else have confessions to make? Silence. Good. Clean this up. Tomorrow we start rebuilding, with people I can actually trust. He looked at Kaia. Come with me. She followed him to a private office. Small room, one desk, one window, no witnesses. He poured 2 drinks, handed her one. She took it. Didn't drink, just held it. That was necessary, he said. Was it? Yes. Victor betrayed us. He would have kept betraying us. There's no redemption from that. He drank. And making him do it himself. That sent a message. Anyone else thinking about betrayal just saw exactly how it ends. With a bullet. With a choice. He set his glass down. I gave him mercy. Quick death instead of slow. Some people would call that kindness. Some people would call it cruelty. Those people have never had to make decisions like this. He looked at her, studied her. You're judging me. I'm processing. Process faster, because we're out of time. He pulled up a laptop, showed her files, names, photos, financial records. Victor gave us everything before he died. Every contact, every transaction, everyone involved. How'd you get that? I asked nicely yesterday, before today's meeting, before I knew for sure. He smiled, cold smile. I don't trust anyone, Kaia. Not Victor, not you, not myself. So I planned for every contingency. You knew Victor was the traitor? I suspected, couldn't prove it, needed him to confess. So I set up today's meeting, let the messenger confirm it. Then Victor confirmed it himself. He paused. The messenger was one of my people, by the way, playing a role. The blood was fake. He's fine. Kaia felt her stomach drop. You staged all of that? Yes. The confession, the shooting, everything except Victor's part. That was real. His guilt. His suicide. That was all him. Jesus Christ. No, just strategy. Victor was bleeding us dry for months. I needed to know how deep the rot went. So I forced his hand. He closed the laptop. Now we know. And now we act. What's that mean? It means we go to war. He stood, walked to the window. The people who tried to kill me, they're not some rival syndicate. They're former partners, people I worked with, trusted, built deals with. They've decided I'm too independent, too unpredictable. So they're trying to take over. Hostile takeover. Why now? Because I'm vulnerable. My security's compromised. My organization's fractured. They think now's their moment. He turned. They're wrong, but they won't know that until it's too late. What are we going to do? We're going to burn them down. Every business, every operation, every person who chose them over me. We're going to dismantle their empire and salt the earth so nothing grows back. He walked toward her. And you're going to help me do it. Why me? Because you see things they don't. Because you're not part of the old system. Because you're smart enough to adapt and ruthless enough to survive. I'm not ruthless. Yes, you are. You just haven't admitted it yet. He stood close. Too close. She could smell his cologne. Expensive. Like everything else about him. You saved my life. You identified the traitors. You watched Victor blow his brains out, and you didn't flinch. That's not softness, Kaia. That's steel. Or trauma. Same thing in this business. She looked up at him. At the cold gray eyes that had seen too much and stopped caring. At the man who'd orchestrated Victor's death like a chess move. At the person she was choosing to stand beside. If I do this, she said slowly, there's no going back. No, there isn't. I become what they think I am. Yes. And if we lose? We don't lose. He stepped back. Get some rest. Tomorrow we start planning. Day after that, we execute. By the end of the week, either we win or we're both dead. No in between. He left. Kaia stood alone in the office with cold whiskey and hot blood pounding in her ears. Victor was dead. The organization was compromised. War was coming, and she was in the center of it. No family, no backup plan, no way out, just forward, into fire, into blood, into whatever came next. She drank the whiskey, all of it. Let it burn, let it hurt. Then she walked to the window, looked out at the compound, at the guards, at the fencing, at the fortress Lucien had built around his empire. And she realized something terrifying. She wasn't scared. She should have been scared. But instead she felt awake. For the first time in her 24 years, she felt like she mattered, like what she did made a difference, like she was more than just invisible furniture surviving another shift. And that feeling? That was more dangerous than any bullet. Because people who felt like they mattered did stupid things, reckless things, things that got them killed. Her phone buzzed, text from Lucien, sleep, tomorrow changes everything. LD. She texted back, what if I can't sleep? His response? Then plan. Planning is better than sleeping anyway. She smiled. Bitter smile. Broken smile. Then she opened the laptop he'd left on the desk, pulled up the files, started memorizing names, faces, targets, because if tomorrow was war, she was going to be ready. And if she was going to die, she was taking everyone else with her. Outside, the moon rose over the compound like a spotlight on a stage. And somewhere in Chicago, enemies were planning, regrouping, coming. The point of no return had arrived, and Kaia Vale walked straight toward it without looking back. War didn't start with explosions. It started with spreadsheets. Kaia spent 48 hours drowning in data. Bank transfers, shell companies, property records, communication logs. Every piece of evidence Victor had gathered during 6 months of betrayal now laid out like a roadmap to everyone who'd wanted Lucien dead. The names were shocking, not street-level dealers or desperate criminals. These were legitimate businessmen, politicians, people who shook hands in public and signed death warrants in private, people who'd built empires on top of empires and decided Lucien's empire was blocking their view. 7 key targets. 7 men who'd pooled resources to fund the takeover. Remove them, and the whole operation collapsed. Simple math, brutal execution. Lucien worked beside her, not sleeping, barely eating, just endless planning, moving pieces on a board only he could see completely. Sometimes he'd stare at the wall for 20 minutes without speaking. Then he'd scribble something on paper, burn it, and make 3 phone calls in languages Kaia didn't recognize. This was how wars were won. Not with glory, with exhaustion and paranoia and coffee that tasted like dirt at 4 in the morning. On the 3rd day, Lucien assembled the remaining security team. 20 people now. Everyone who'd passed loyalty tests. Everyone who hadn't flinched when Victor's body was carried out. Everyone who understood that the stakes had moved past money into survival. We move in 72 hours, Lucien said. No preamble, no motivation speech, just facts. 7 targets, 7 simultaneous strikes. We coordinate timing down to the minute. No communication between teams once we deploy. Radio silence. If one team fails, the others continue. Questions? Thomas, the older guard who'd questioned Kaia's authority, spoke up. What's the end game? We take them out, someone else just fills the vacuum. No, because we're not just taking them out. We're taking everything they built. Properties, accounts, personnel. By the time we're done, there won't be anything left to fill. Lucien pulled up a map, digital overlay of Chicago with 7 red dots. Each target has specific vulnerabilities. We exploit them. Hard, fast. No survivors except the ones we need for information. And after? Thomas asked. After, we rebuild. Stronger than before, with people who understand that loyalty isn't negotiable. Lucien's eyes swept the room. Anyone uncomfortable with what I'm describing has 5 seconds to leave. No judgment, no consequences. Just walk. Nobody moved. Good. Kaia will brief you on your assignments. She stood, felt every eye in the room on her. Still the outsider, still the waitress playing soldier. But now she had Victor's files memorized, had studied each target until she could recite their routines, their weaknesses, their fears. Target 1, she began. Marcus Chen, import-export magnate, legitimate front for weapons trafficking, lives in Gold Coast penthouse, private security team of 12, rotates shifts every 8 hours, weakness, he visits his mother every Sunday, alone, No security. We hit him there. She went through all 7, methodical, detailed, showing them patterns they'd miss, showing them openings that only existed if you looked at the data sideways. By the time she finished, the skepticism in their eyes had shifted into something else. Not respect. Not yet. But acknowledgement. She knew what she was doing. After the briefing, Lucien pulled her aside. Private office again, just the two of them and the weight of what they were about to do. You're good at this, he said. At what? Planning murders? At seeing the whole picture. Most people focus on the target. You see the target's mother, the routine, the vulnerability. He poured whiskey, offered her a glass. She took it. You're wasted as a waitress. I'm probably wasted as a security consultant too. Maybe, but at least you're interesting. He drank. How are you feeling? Honestly? Preferably. Terrified. Wired. Like I'm watching myself from outside my body. She finished the whiskey, felt it burn. I keep thinking about Victor, about how he chose this for 15 years and it still broke him. And I've been doing this for what, 2 weeks? How long before it breaks me? Maybe it already did. Maybe you were broken before I met you. He set his glass down. People don't grow up in 18 foster homes without breaking. You just hit it better than most. That's a fucked up thing to say. Truth usually is. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him he was wrong, but he wasn't. She'd been broken long before Velvet Crown, long before the sniper's bullet, long before any of this. She'd just been broken quietly, invisibly, the way poor people learn to break so nobody noticed. When this is over, she said, what happens to me? What do you want to happen? I don't know. Normal life seems impossible now, but this? She gestured around. This isn't sustainable either. No, it's not, but nothing is. He walked to the window, stared out at darkness and security lights. I've been doing this 17 years. Every day I wake up knowing it could be my last. Every person I trust could be the one who kills me. Every decision could be the wrong one. And you know what the worst part is? What? I can't remember what I was fighting for anymore. Started out wanting to survive, then wanting power, then wanting respect. But all of it just becomes routine. Wake up, make decisions, go to sleep, repeat until someone faster wins. He turned. So when this is over, I don't know, maybe we both figure out what comes next. Or maybe there is no next. Maybe this is all there is. That's depressing. Yes. He almost smiled. Get some rest. Tomorrow we prep. Day after, we move. And after that? He shrugged. After that, we're either alive or we're not. Kaia left. Walked back to her room in the compound. Locked the door. 3 locks. Old habit. She lay on the bed, expensive sheets, expensive mattress, expensive everything, and stared at the ceiling. 72 hours. Then 7 people died, and she'd helped plan it. Her phone buzzed, text from a number she didn't recognize. You're making a mistake. She stared at it, didn't respond. Another text. Lucien's lying to you. Her heart rate spiked. She sat up, typed, who is this? Someone who knows what he did, what he's still doing. Ask him about Victoria. Who the fuck is Victoria? The woman before you, the one who saved his life, the one he got killed. The phone went dead. She tried calling back, number disconnected, tried tracing it, encrypted, professional work. She could ignore it. Probably should ignore it. Classic psychological warfare. Make her doubt. Make her hesitate. Make her vulnerable. But she couldn't ignore it, because what if it was true? She found Lucien in the security room, alone, watching monitors showing empty compound grounds. He looked exhausted, more exhausted than she'd seen him, like the weight was finally crushing him. Who's Victoria? She asked. He didn't turn around, didn't even flinch, just kept watching the screens. Where'd you hear that name? Someone texted me, said you're lying to me, said Victoria saved your life and you got her killed. They're right. The confirmation hit like a punch. She'd expected denial, expected excuses, got brutal honesty instead. Explain, she said. Victoria Costa, former military intelligence. I hired her 4 years ago. Similar situation to yours. She saw something she shouldn't have. Saved my life. I brought her in. Made her head of security. He finally turned, face blank, eyes dead. She was brilliant, better than Victor, better than anyone I'd ever worked with. Saw patterns before they formed, predicted moves 3 steps ahead. What happened? I trusted her. Completely. More than I should have. More than I'd trusted anyone since... He stopped. Doesn't matter. Point is, I trusted her, and that trust made me sloppy, made me predictable. Because when you trust someone, you develop routines around them, patterns, and patterns get you killed. They killed her. No, I killed her. His voice was flat. Final. I sent her to a meeting, solo operation. Should have been simple intelligence gathering, but the people we were tracking knew about her, knew she was my weakness, so they grabbed her, tortured her for information. She didn't give them anything, held out for 3 days. By the time we found her... He didn't finish. Kaia felt cold. Why are you telling me this? Because you asked. And because you deserve to know what you're getting into. Working for me? It's a death sentence. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually, everyone who gets close to me ends up dead or broken or both. Victoria, Victor, dozens of others. That's the pattern. That's the routine I can't break. So what? You're warning me to leave? No. You can't leave. You're already in too deep. They know your face, your name, your history. You leave me, and they kill you just to tie up loose ends. He walked closer. I'm telling you so you understand. This isn't a job. This isn't an opportunity. This is a cage. And the only way out is in a box. Jesus Christ. Yeah. He moved past her toward the door. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be long. Lucien? He stopped. If this is a death sentence, she said, why do you keep doing it? Because I don't know how to do anything else. He left. Kaia stood alone in the security room, watched the empty screens, thought about Victoria Costa, about how she'd saved Lucien's life and ended up tortured to death, about how Kaia had saved Lucien's life and was now planning assassinations, about how patterns repeated, about how history didn't just rhyme, it fucking screamed. She didn't sleep. Again. Just lay in the dark thinking about Victoria and Victor and everyone else who'd made the mistake of mattering to Lucien Drakov, thinking about whether she was different or just next in line. Dawn came gray and cold. 72 hours had become 48. Time moving too fast, not enough time to prepare, too much time to think. The prep was mechanical, weapons, vehicles, routes, backup plans. Everyone moving with purpose, but nobody talking. Like they were already ghosts, already dead, just going through the motions until reality caught up. Kaia was assigned to Team 3. Target, Richard Voss, real estate developer who used construction sites to launder money and bury bodies. Literally, they'd found 6 skeletons under his properties in the past decade. Never enough evidence to prosecute. Money bought silence. Money bought graves. Thomas led the team. 4 guards plus Kaia. They'd hit Voss at his office. Late night, minimal security, in and out. Simple. You ever killed anyone? Thomas asked during the drive downtown. No. You gonna be able to? I guess we'll find out. That's not good enough. We need to know you won't freeze. I won't freeze. You sound certain. I am. Why? Because freezing gets me killed, and I'm not ready to die yet. Thomas almost smiled. Good answer. The office was in a high-rise downtown, fancy building, fancy lobby, security guard at the desk who didn't look up from his phone. They walked past in business clothes, looking like they belonged, looking forgettable. 23rd floor, Voss's firm, lights still on. He worked late. Creature of habit, patterns, they picked the lock. Standard office security, child's play. Inside, the reception area was empty, dark, just emergency lighting and shadows. Thomas signaled. 2 guards went left, 2 went right, clearing rooms. Kaia followed Thomas toward the corner office. Door closed, light underneath. Thomas tried the handle. Locked. He nodded to Kaia. She picked it. Faster this time. Getting good at this. Getting good at breaking things. The door opened silent. Voss sat at his desk, back to them. On the phone. I don't care what it costs. Make it happen, or I'll find someone who... Thomas shot him. Suppressed pistol, quiet pop. Voss jerked, phone dropped. He slumped forward, blood spreading across expensive mahogany. Clear, Thomas said into his radio. Team 1 clear. Team 2 clear. Team 4 clear. Team 5 clear. Team 6 clear. Team 7, static, then gunfire, lots of gunfire. Ambush! It's a fucking ambush! They knew we were... The radio died. Thomas's face went white. Abort! Everyone back to vehicles, now! They ran, out of the office, into the hallway, emergency alarms screaming now. Someone had heard the gunfire. Or maybe it was planned. Maybe it was all planned. The elevator opened. Wrong floor, wrong timing. 6 men stepped out. Armed, professional, not building security. Something else. Thomas fired. Dropped 2. The rest returned fire. Bullets tearing through drywall and glass. Kaia dove behind a desk, pulled her gun, fired blind. Didn't know if she hit anything. Didn't matter. Just survival, just movement. One of the guards went down, head shot, dead before he hit the floor. Thomas was screaming orders, coordinating, retreating. They made it to the stairwell, started down, fast. Controlled chaos. Another guard took a bullet in the leg. Kept moving. Pain later. Survival now. Ground floor. Lobby. More gunfire. The security guard who'd been on his phone was dead. Throat cut. Professional work. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. They burst onto the street. Into cold Chicago night. Into sirens and screaming and the sound of their own vehicles exploding. Someone had rigged them. Timed explosives. Perfect timing. We're blown, Thomas said. Everyone scatter, different directions. Regroup at secondary location. Kaia ran. East toward the lake. Away from gunfire. Away from sirens. Just running. Heart hammering. Blood singing in her ears. She'd killed someone. Maybe. Probably. Fired enough bullets that statistics said at least 1 hit, but she didn't feel different. That scared her more than the bullets. She made it 6 blocks before her phone rang. Lucien. Where are you? He asked. Running. Team 7 got ambushed. Team 3 compromised. We're scattered. How many casualties? I don't know. At least 2 dead, maybe more. Listen carefully. Don't go to the secondary location. It's compromised too. They knew our entire plan. Every target, every team, every location. How? Someone talked. Someone inside our operation gave them everything. His voice was ice. Get to the harbor, South Docks, Warehouse 12. I'll meet you there. Lucien. Move. Now. The line went dead. Kaia ran. Changed directions. South toward the harbor. Industrial district. Dark. Empty. The kind of place where people disappeared and nobody asked questions. Warehouse 12 looked abandoned. Broken windows, rusted doors, but inside lights burned and voices carried. She approached carefully. Gun drawn, every nerve screaming danger. The door was unlocked. That was wrong. Everything was wrong. Inside the warehouse was cavernous, empty except for crates and shadows and... Lucien, tied to a chair. Bleeding. Around him stood 5 men, armed, professional, and at the front, walking slowly forward with a smile that made Kaia's blood freeze. Thomas. Welcome, Thomas said. We've been waiting for you. Kaia's gun came up, aimed at his chest. What the fuck is this? This? This is business, nothing personal. He gestured to Lucien. Your boss here has been causing problems, so we're solving them, permanently. You were the leak. One of them. There were others. Victor was sloppy, emotional. I'm neither. He took a step closer. Put the gun down, Kaia. You're outnumbered, outgunned. And honestly, you've got no reason to die for him. Don't, Lucien said, voice weak, losing blood. Don't give them anything. Thomas hit him, casual backhand. I wasn't talking to you. Kaia's finger tightened on the trigger, math racing through her head. 5 armed men, one of her, Lucien wounded, maybe dying. No backup, no exit. Just bad options. Why'd you bring me here? She asked. Because we need to know what you know. What Lucien told you, what files you've seen. You give us that? You walk. You refuse? He shrugged. Then we do this the hard way. You're going to kill me anyway. Probably, but we can make it quick, or we can make it last days, like Victoria. The name hit like electricity. Kaia's hands shook. You killed her. Personally? No. But I helped. Held her down while they worked. Listened to her scream. She was tough. Lasted longer than most. He smiled. How long do you think you'll last? Lucien lifted his head, blood on his face, blood in his teeth. Kaia, run! Can't run from this, Thomas said. There's nowhere left. We own the city now. We own his operation. We own everything. He gestured to his men. Take her gun. They moved. Fast. Professional. Kaia fired. Dropped one. The rest grabbed her. Slammed her against a crate. Gun clattered away. Hands pinned her arms. Someone hit her. Ribs, stomach, face, pain exploding everywhere. They dragged her next to Lucien, forced her into another chair. Zip ties cutting into her wrists. Blood in her mouth. Vision swimming. Thomas knelt in front of her. Last chance. Tell me what you know about Lucien's offshore accounts. His backup operations. His contingencies. Fuck you. Wrong answer. He nodded to one of his men. The man pulled out a knife, walked to Lucien, put the blade against his throat. Maybe you need motivation. Wait, Kaia said. Yes? Her mind raced, buying time, looking for angles, finding nothing, just rope and blood and 5 armed men and no backup and no plan, and then the lights went out. Total darkness. Someone shouted. Gunfire. Muzzle flashes lighting the warehouse like lightning. Kaia threw herself sideways, chair and all, hit the ground hard, broke the chair. Zip ties still tight, but at least she could move. More gunfire. Screaming. Chaos. She crawled, found her gun by feel, got the zip ties caught on broken wood, pulled harder, skin tearing, blood slick, ties breaking. Lights came back on. 3 of Thomas's men were dead. The other 2 were fighting someone new, someone Kaia didn't recognize. Woman. Tall. Scarred. Moving like violence was a language she spoke fluently. Thomas was gone. So was Lucien. The woman killed the last 2 men. Brutal. Efficient. Then turned to Kaia. We need to move. Who the fuck are you? Someone who was dead until 30 seconds ago. She cut Lucien's ropes. He could barely stand. We've got maybe 2 minutes before reinforcements arrive. You want answers, or you want to live? Both. Greedy. I like that. She hauled Lucien up, started toward a back exit. Move. Kaia followed, questions screaming in her head, but survival screaming louder. They burst out into an alley. Black SUV waiting, engine running, driver ready. Inside, pressed between the woman and Lucien, Kaia finally found words. Victoria? The woman nodded. Surprise. You're dead. I was. Then I got better. She pressed something against Lucien's side, stopping the bleeding. Thomas thinks he killed me 4 years ago. Let him keep thinking that. How? Long story. Short version, Lucien's been playing a game inside a game. Thomas was bait. Victor was bait. This whole war? Bait. And everyone bit. Kaia looked at Lucien. He was barely conscious, but he nodded, confirmed it. You used me, Kaia said. Yes. You used Victor. Yes. How many people have you used? Everyone. He coughed. Blood. Everyone except Victoria. She's the only one who knows the whole picture. The only one I actually trust. And the assassination attempts? Some real, some staged. Hard to tell which is which. That's the point. His eyes closed. The 7 targets tonight? 3 were real enemies. 4 were loyal people I needed dead for other reasons. The teams? Mixed. Some mine, some theirs. Sent them to kill each other. Let them sort themselves out. Kaia felt sick. You're insane. No, just thorough. He passed out. Victoria drove. Fast. Confident. He's not wrong. This world doesn't allow trust, doesn't allow loyalty. So you build systems where everyone's expendable. Everyone's a piece, even yourself. Even me. Especially you. You're the newest piece. The variable nobody calculated for. That made you valuable. That made you dangerous. She glanced in the mirror. Thomas wanted you dead. Lucien wanted you alive. I didn't care either way. But here we are. Where are we going? Somewhere nobody knows about. Not Thomas, not the organization. Nobody. She turned down a side street. Somewhere Lucien bought 15 years ago under a name that doesn't exist. His final failsafe. How many failsafes does he have? Honestly, I stopped counting at 12. She almost smiled. He's paranoid, but he's earned it. They drove for an hour. Out of the city, into suburbs, then beyond into rural nothing. The house was small, isolated. The kind of place you bought when you needed to disappear. Inside, Victoria worked on Lucien. Field medicine, professional. She'd done this before, lots of times. Kaia watched, learned, said nothing. When Lucien was stable, unconscious but breathing, Victoria finally spoke. You've got questions. Hundreds. Pick one. Are you really Victoria Costa? I was. That person died. I'm someone else now. Haven't decided who yet. She cleaned blood off her hands. But yeah, I'm the ghost Lucien uses to scare people. The cautionary tale. Don't get close, or you'll end up like Victoria. Meanwhile, I've been running shadow operations for 4 years, taking out threats he can't touch officially, being the monster under the bed. Why tell me? Because you're either with us or you're a loose end, and I hate loose ends, so I'm giving you the choice nobody gave me. Walk away now. Tonight. We'll give you money, new identity, fresh start, or stay. Help us finish this. Help us burn Thomas and everyone who sided with him. Help us rebuild from ash. And if I stay, then you become what I am. A ghost. A weapon. A thing that kills people for Lucien Drakov and pretends it's for good reasons. She looked at Kaia with eyes that had seen too much. Fair warning, it doesn't get easier. Every kill weighs, every death sticks. I've got 83 bodies in my head. I remember all their faces. You want that? Kaia thought about it. Really thought. About foster homes and cardboard boxes and survival that looked like surrender. About Victor eating a bullet. About Thomas's smile. About Lucien's cold gray eyes and the way he'd used everyone including himself. About whether any of this mattered. About whether mattering was even the point. I'm in, she said. You sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Victoria nodded. Then we start planning. Thomas thinks he won, thinks Lucien's dead or dying, thinks the organization's his now. We let him think that, give him 3 days to get comfortable, to get sloppy. Then what? Then we show him that Lucien Drakov doesn't die. He just waits. She pulled out a laptop, started typing. There are 12 people in Thomas's inner circle. We kill them all, same night, same hour. Send a message, nobody misses. 12 assassinations in one night. Yes. That's insane. Yes, Victoria smiled. No warmth, just teeth. But it's the kind of insane that works. The kind that makes everyone else too scared to try again. The kind that rebuilds empires. Kaia looked at Lucien, unconscious on the couch, bandaged, broken, but breathing, still fighting, still refusing to die even when dying would be easier. And she understood finally. This wasn't about money, wasn't about power. It was about refusing to disappear. About insisting you mattered even when the universe said you didn't. About surviving not because you wanted to, but because surrender meant admitting they were right about you. Okay, Kaia said. What do you need me to do? Victoria's smile widened. Predator smile. Ghost smile. Everything. They worked through the night, planning, coordinating. Victoria had resources Kaia hadn't known existed. Safe houses, weapons caches, people who owed Lucien favors or feared him enough to help. A whole shadow network built over 15 years of paranoia. By dawn, they had a plan. 12 targets. 12 teams. One night. No survivors. Lucien woke around noon, weak but alive. He listened to Victoria's briefing, nodded occasionally, didn't speak until the end. Kaia, he said, voice rough. You're still here. Yeah. Why? Because fuck Thomas. Simple answer, true answer, and fuck everyone who thinks I'm disposable. He actually laughed. Hurt him to laugh. He did it anyway. Fair enough. You used me. Yes. You used Victor. Yes. You let people die so you could win a game they didn't know they were playing. Yes. And you do it again. Without hesitation. She nodded. Then use me better. Give me a target. Give me a gun. Give me a chance to matter. You already matter. No. I survive. There's a difference. She leaned forward. Victoria said, I have to choose. Ghost or loose end. Weapon or victim. I'm choosing weapon. So give me something to kill. Lucien and Victoria exchanged a look. Some kind of silent communication people who'd known each other too long had perfected. Thomas, Victoria said. He's hers. You sure? Lucien asked. He tried to kill her, beat her, would have tortured her. She's earned him. Lucien nodded. Kaia, Thomas is yours. But you need to understand what that means. This isn't self-defense. This isn't survival. This is murder. Premeditated. Cold. You do this and you cross a line you can't uncross. I crossed that line when I saved your life. No, you crossed it when you stayed. He pulled himself up, wincing. Thomas will be at his penthouse tomorrow night, celebrating, thinking he won. He'll have security, but not as much as usual, overconfident. We give you the access codes, the timing, the exit route. You go in, you kill him, you come back. Simple. Nothing's simple. No, but some things are necessary. He held out a hand. Partners? She looked at it, at the offered partnership, at the implicit contract. Work for me, kill for me, matter for me, die for me. She shook his hand. Partners. Victoria spent the next 24 hours training Kaia, not broad strokes, specific techniques, how to move silently, how to kill quietly, where to cut, how to break necks, how to make it look like natural causes or accidents or anything except murder. The key, Victoria said, is commitment. Hesitation gets you killed. Second guessing gets you killed. You go in knowing exactly what you're going to do, then you do it. Fast, clean, no theatrics, no explaining, just action. They practiced on dummies, mannequins, targets. Kaia learned to move like water. Like violence was choreography she'd been rehearsing her whole life. She was terrified. She was exhilarated. She was becoming something she didn't recognize. And she couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. The night came cold and clear, Chicago spreading below like a circuit board, like a machine that ate people and produced ghosts. Kaia wore black, tactical gear, suppressed pistol, knife, everything she needed to kill one man and disappear after. Victoria drove her to the building, high-rise, luxury, the kind of place Thomas had bought with blood money and called home. Top floor, Victoria said. Penthouse, 3 security guards. Thomas? Maybe a woman? Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Kill everyone except Thomas last. Make him watch. Make him understand. Understand what? That Lucien Drakov keeps his promises. She handed Kaia an earpiece. I'll be in your ear. Lucien's monitoring from here. You're not alone. I feel alone. Good. Alone makes you careful. Victoria's hand landed on Kaia's shoulder. Brief touch, almost gentle. You're going to be fine. You're meaner than you look. How do you know? Because you're still here. Mean people survive. Nice people die. She pulled back. Go! Kaia went into the building, past security with codes Victoria provided. Into the elevator. Up, up, up. Heart hammering, hand steady, mind clear. The penthouse door was locked. Standard lock. She picked it in 30 seconds. Getting faster, getting better, getting dangerous. Inside the apartment was obscene, marble, gold, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city like a possession, like Thomas owned the view and everything in it. First guard in the kitchen, didn't hear her coming, knife between the ribs, lung puncture. He went down quiet, drowning in his own blood. Kaia held him down, watched him die, felt nothing. That scared her. Second guard in the living room. Watching television, volume up. She shot him, suppressed. 2 rounds. Head and chest. He slumped. Dead before he knew danger existed. Third guard coming out of the bathroom. Saw her, reached for his gun. Too slow. She was faster. 3 shots. Center mass. He went down hard. Then Thomas. Master bedroom. Door open. He sat at a desk. Computer. Whiskey. looking at financial reports and smiling. Kaia walked in, gun up. He turned, saw her, didn't look surprised, just tired. "Kaia," he said, "I wondered if you'd come." "Did you really think you'd won?" "For about 6 hours. Then I realized Lucien was too quiet, too absent. He doesn't go quiet unless he's planning something worse than death." Thomas poured whiskey, didn't offer her any. "So here you are. His weapon, his revenge, his proof that he's still king. Any last words?" "Just one. Question, really." He drank. "Do you actually think this ends? That killing me stops anything? There's always someone else, always another Thomas, another Victor, another war." "Maybe, but you won't see it." "No, I won't." He set the glass down. "Do it." She hesitated, just for a second. Because he was right. This didn't end anything. Killing him was just momentum, just pattern, just the next beat in a song that never stopped playing. But she'd made a choice, and choices had consequences. She pulled the trigger. Thomas fell. The room went quiet except for ringing ears and ragged breathing. Kaia stood over the body, looked at what she'd done, at the line she'd crossed, at the person she'd become. "Target down," she said into the earpiece. "Good," Victoria said. "Exit road is clear. Move." Kaia moved. Out of the penthouse, into the service elevator, down, out the back exit, into the waiting car. Victoria drove. Didn't speak. Didn't need to. They drove back to the safe house. Lucien was waiting. Still weak, but standing now. He looked at Kaia. Really looked. Seeing the blood, the change, the new shape she'd taken. "It's done?" he asked. "It's done. How do you feel?" She thought about it, really thought. "Empty." "Good. Empty is better than full. Full means guilt. Empty means you're ready for the next thing." "Is there always a next thing?" "Always." He walked to the window, looked out at nothing. Thomas was the last major threat. The others will fall in line now. Fear's good motivation. We rebuild. Stronger, tighter. No more leaks, no more betrayals, just survival. "That's all it is?" Kaia asked. "Just survival?" "That's all it's ever been." She wanted to argue, wanted to say survival wasn't enough. But standing there with blood on her hands and emptiness in her chest, she couldn't find the words. Because maybe survival was all there was. Maybe everything else was just decoration. Maybe this was what mattering felt like. And maybe that was the cruelest truth of all. Victoria brought coffee. They sat. The three of them. Ghosts planning tomorrow, weapons deciding what came next, people who'd crossed too many lines to count anymore pretending they were still human. "What now?" Kaia asked. Lucien looked at her. At the woman she'd become in 3 weeks. At the monster he'd helped create. "Now," he said, "we finish what we started. 12 targets, 1 night. By the end of the week, everyone who wanted me dead will be dead. Everyone who doubted me will remember why they shouldn't. And everyone else?" He smiled, cold smile, dead smile. "Everyone else will learn to be more careful. And after? After we see if any of us still know how to be human." He raised his coffee. "To survival." Victoria raised hers. "To survival." Kaia raised hers, felt the weight, the finality. "To survival," she repeated. They drank. And outside, Chicago burned with lights that looked like stars but were really just electricity pretending to be hope. And somewhere in the dark, other enemies planned. Other wars waited. Other lines begged to be crossed, because this was the world Kaia had chosen. This was the cage she'd walked into. And the only way out was through blood, through death, through becoming someone she didn't recognize anymore. Someone who killed people and felt empty after. Someone who survived because surrender wasn't an option. Someone who mattered because she'd decided mattering was worth dying for. And if that made her a monster, then fine. At least she was a monster who refused to disappear. At least she was visible, even if visibility looked like violence. Even if mattering meant murder. Even if surviving meant losing the parts of herself she'd spent 24 years protecting. At least she was still here, still breathing, still fighting, still choosing forward over backward because backward didn't exist anymore. The point of no return was miles behind her now. And all that waited ahead was blood and ghosts and the question nobody wanted to answer. When you crossed enough lines, Did you eventually forget where they were? Or did you just stop caring? If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. The 12 targets died on a Tuesday. Not all at once. Staggered, choreographed. Like a symphony conducted by ghosts. Victoria had planned it down to the minute. 12 teams, 12 locations across Chicago, 12 men who'd bet against Lucien Drakov and lost before they knew the game had started. Kaia wasn't part of those teams. She was something else now. Lucien's shadow. His proof of concept. The waitress who'd learned to kill and hadn't broken yet. Victoria watched her with eyes that calculated probabilities. How long before Kaia fractured? How long before the weight crushed her? But Kaia was still standing, still moving, still empty. They monitored everything from the safe house. Laptops, encrypted radios, real-time footage from body cameras and drones. Watching men die in restaurants, parking garages, hotel rooms. Watching an empire's enemies get erased like they'd never existed. It took 4 hours. By midnight, all 12 were dead. No survivors except the ones meant to survive. The ones who'd carry the message back. The ones who'd whisper in dark corners that Lucien Drakov had risen from the dead and painted Chicago red. "It's done," Victoria said. She looked exhausted, satisfied, the way surgeons looked after complicated operations. "The organization's ours again. Thomas's people are scattered, leaderless. They'll either pledge loyalty or disappear." "And if they don't?" Kaia asked. "Then they join the 12. Victoria closed her laptop. "But most will bend. Fear's a better recruiter than money." Lucien sat in a chair by the window, still recovering, still pale. But his eyes were sharp, calculating, already 3 moves ahead. "We need to move fast, consolidate, show strength before anyone gets ideas about the vacuum." "I've got people reaching out," Victoria said, "offering deals, protection, partnership. Same structure as before, but tighter. No more Victors, no more Thomases. Just us and people too scared to betray us." "How do we know they're too scared?" Kaia asked. "Because we made examples." Lucien's voice was flat, final. 12 bodies, 12 messages. Everyone in the city knows what happens when you come for me. They know I don't just survive. I win. And winning looks like bodies. Kaia wanted to feel something about that. Wanted to feel horror or disgust or anything except the cold acceptance settling in her bones. But she'd crossed too many lines. Thomas's blood was still under her fingernails. The weight of his death sat in her chest like concrete. Feeling seemed like a luxury she couldn't afford anymore. "What's next?" she asked. "Now we rebuild," Lucien said. "But first we clean house. Anyone who hesitated during the purge. Anyone who asked too many questions. Anyone whose loyalty is questionable. They go." "You mean we kill them?" "I mean we remove variables." He stood, winced, ribs still healing. "Victoria, give me the list." Victoria pulled up a file. 23 names. People inside the organization, guards, drivers, low-level operators, all flagged for elimination. "This is paranoia," Kaia said. "No, this is survival." Lucien scanned the list. These people had opportunities to prove themselves. They didn't. That makes them liabilities. They're human beings. They're statistics. He looked at her, cold, absolute. "You want to survive this world? Stop thinking of people as people. Think of them as numbers, data points, threats or assets. Nothing in between." "That's psychotic." "That's practical." He handed the tablet to Victoria. "Execute the list, quietly. No patterns. Make it look like accidents or disappearances. I want them gone by Friday." Victoria nodded, took the tablet, looked at Kaia. "You coming?" "Where?" "To do the work. You're part of this now. Might as well learn the whole process." Kaia wanted to say no. Wanted to draw a line somewhere. But what line was left? She'd killed Thomas. Had watched 12 others die on screens. Had chosen this world. This cage. This endless spiral of blood. "Fine," she said. They started that night. 23 names becoming 22. Then 21. Accidents. Gas leaks. Car crashes. People who walked into alleys and didn't walk out. Victoria was efficient, clinical. She made death look like coincidence. Kaia watched, learned. Didn't participate directly, but didn't look away either, because looking away was cowardice. And if she was going to be a monster, she'd be an honest one. By Thursday, 18 names were crossed off. That's when everything went sideways. They were in a warehouse on the south side. Eliminating number 19. Guy named Marcus. Not the Marcus from before. Different Marcus. Driver. Decent guy by all accounts. But he'd made calls to unknown numbers during the purge. That made him suspect. That made him dead. Victoria had him tied to a chair. Was explaining very calmly why he had to die. Marcus was crying, begging, swearing he'd done nothing wrong. The calls were to his sister, his mother, nobody dangerous. Probably true, Victoria said, but we can't verify. And uncertainty is risk. So, she raised her gun. The warehouse door exploded inward. Not opened. Exploded. Breaching charge. Military grade. The sound was enormous, concussive. Kaia's ears rang. She dove behind a crate, gun out, searching for targets. Men poured through. 8, 10, 12, tactical gear. Assault rifles. Professional. Not cops, not gangbangers. Something else. "Federal agents!" someone shouted. "Drop your weapons!" Victoria fired. Dropped 2 before they could react. Then she was moving. Fast. Fluid. Disappearing into shadows and crates like she'd practiced this scenario 1,000 times. Kaia wasn't as fast. Wasn't as trained. She fired blind. Providing cover. Buying seconds. Bullets tearing through the warehouse. Sparks. Smoke. Chaos. Someone grabbed her from behind. Strong grip. Professional hold. She twisted. Used techniques Victoria had taught her. Broke free. Fired point blank. The agent went down. Body armor caught most of it, but he was stunned. She ran. Made it to a side exit. Burst into the alley. Cold air. Night. Sirens in the distance. She kept running. East. Away from lights. Away from voices. Just running. Her phone buzzed. Victoria. "Where are you?" Victoria asked. "Alley, 3 blocks east of the warehouse." "What the fuck was that?" "Feds. Real ones. Not bought. Not corrupt. Actual law enforcement." Victoria's voice was tight. Controlled panic. "Someone tipped them. Someone inside our operation. Again." "I thought we cleaned house." "We did, which means we missed someone. Or someone new flipped." Pause. "Get to the secondary safe house, north side. Address is in your phone. Don't use main routes. Don't call anyone except me or Lucien. Move." The line went dead. Kaia ran. Through alleys, over fences, past homeless camps and drug deals, and all the invisible architecture of a city that ate people. Her lungs burned, legs screaming, but she kept moving. The safe house was a brownstone, nondescript, middle-class neighborhood, the kind of place nobody looked at twice. She picked the lock, slipped inside, locked it behind her. 3 locks. Old habits. The house was empty. Dark. She found the bathroom, washed blood off her hands, Marcus's blood. The agent's blood. Her blood from where she'd scraped her arm on a fence, all of it swirling down the drain pink and then clear. She looked at herself in the mirror, didn't recognize the woman staring back. 3 weeks ago, she'd been a waitress. Now she was this, whatever this was. Ghost, weapon, killer. Her phone rang. Lucien. "You alive?" he asked. "Barely." "Victoria?" "She got out, I think. We separated." "Good. That's protocol." He sounded tired. More tired than she'd ever heard him. "The feds hit 3 of our locations tonight. Simultaneous raids, coordinated. Someone fed them everything. Locations, personnel, timing." "Who?" "That's the question." Pause. "I need you to come back to the main safe house. We're consolidating. Everyone we trust in one location. Fortify and figure out who the fuck is bleeding us." "What if it's a trap?" "Then we die together." He almost laughed. Bitter sound. At this point, that might be mercy. She drove to the main safe house. Different vehicle. Stolen. Plates Victoria had taught her to swap in under 3 minutes. The house was dark except for security lights. Guards at every entrance. Paranoia levels maxed. Inside, Lucien looked worse. The stress was eating him. She could see it in the set of his shoulders, the way his hands shook slightly before he forced them still. He was running on fumes and willpower. Victoria was there too. Blood on her jacket, not hers. We've got a problem. Just one? Kaia asked. Marcus is alive. Silence. What? Lucien said. The driver. Number 19. The feds got him. Took him into custody. Which means he's talking. Or will talk. Or they'll make him talk. Victoria paced, energy burning off her like radiation. He knows things. Not everything, but enough. Safe house locations. Personnel. Our structure. How much damage? Assuming he gives them everything, total. We'd have to burn the entire operation and start over. She stopped pacing. Or we silence him. He's in federal custody, Kaia said. How the fuck do we silence him? Victoria smiled. No warmth, just calculation. Very carefully. They spent the next 6 hours planning something impossible. Breaking into a federal holding facility, killing a witness, getting out alive. The kind of operation that movies made look easy and reality made suicidal. But they didn't have a choice. Marcus talked, and they were finished. Marcus died, and they had a chance. Simple math, brutal execution. The facility was downtown, concrete building, cameras everywhere, guards, protocols, layers of security designed to keep people in and everyone else out. There's a shift change at 6 a.m., Victoria said. 30 seconds where coverage overlaps. That's our window. 30 seconds, Kaia repeated. Yes. To break in, kill Marcus, and get out. Yes. That's insane. Yes. Victoria looked at Lucien. This is a terrible idea. You know that, right? I know. He studied the facility blueprints Victoria had somehow acquired. But it's the only idea we have, so we make it work. And if we don't, then we improvise. He looked at Kaia. You don't have to come. This isn't your fight. Everything's my fight now. She checked her gun, loaded, ready. Besides, you'd just get yourselves killed without me. Lucien almost smiled. Probably. They moved at 5:30 a.m. Darkness still thick. Chicago sleeping except for the people who never slept. Shift workers, insomniacs, killers planning impossible operations. 3 of them. Lucien still healing but insisting. Victoria leading. Kaia following. All of them armed. All of them knowing this could be their last sunrise. The facility loomed. Gray concrete. Ugly. Functional. They approached from the east. Service entrance. Where deliveries came. Where attention went to die. Victoria checked her watch. 2 minutes. They waited. Silent. Kaia's heart hammered. She forced her breathing steady. In, out, the way Victoria had taught her. Control the breath, control the fear. 1 minute. Kaia's hands were steady. Good. She needed them steady. 30 seconds. They moved, fast, professional. Victoria cut the fence. They slipped through, across the loading dock, to the door, electronic lock. Victoria bypassed it. 10 seconds. The door opened. Inside, fluorescent lights, tile floors. The smell of industrial cleaner and fear. They moved left, down a hallway. According to the blueprints, Marcus was being held in interview room 3, second floor. They reached the stairs, started climbing, quiet, controlled. That's when the alarm went off. Not a mistake, not a coincidence. Someone knew they were coming. Trap, Victoria said. Move. They ran. Up the stairs, second floor, guards appearing, shouting, drawing weapons. Victoria fired, dropped 3. Lucien took 2 more. Kaia provided cover, bullets everywhere, the hallway becoming a war zone. They reached interview room 3. Door locked, reinforced. Victoria pulled out breaching charges. Cover me. Kaia and Lucien held the hallway. More guards coming, too many. They were outnumbered, outgunned. This was suicide. The door exploded. Victoria went through. Smoke. Chaos. Kaia followed. Lucien behind her. Inside, the room was empty. No Marcus, no witness. Just a table, a chair, and a laptop showing a live feed. On the screen, a man in his 50s. Expensive suit. Federal badge visible on his belt. He smiled. Lucien Drakov, the man said. I've been waiting for you. Lucien stared at the screen, recognition flickering. Agent Morrison. Special agent. Let's be accurate. Morrison's smile widened. You look terrible, by the way. Federal raids will do that. Where's Marcus? Somewhere you'll never find him. Talking, singing, really. He's very motivated. Protective custody does that. Morrison leaned forward. But you knew he'd talk. That's why you came. Desperate move, sloppy. Not like you. What do you want? Want? Nothing. I already have everything. Your operation's compromised. Your people are scattered. Your enemies are circling. You're bleeding out, Lucien. And I'm just here to watch you die. He paused. Oh, and to offer one last chance. Surrender, all three of you. Walk out with your hands up. Cooperate. Tell us everything. In exchange, we'll make the charges manageable. Manageable, Lucien repeated. 20 years instead of life. Protective custody instead of general population. It's a good deal, better than you deserve. And if I refuse, then you die here, today. Those guards outside? There are 40 more on the way. SWAT, tactical units. You're surrounded, outgunned, finished. Morrison's smile faded. Take the deal, Luce. Yen, you've lost. Have the dignity to admit it. Silence. Just breathing and distant sirens and the weight of choices that didn't feel like choices at all. Lucien looked at Victoria, then at Kaia, reading them, calculating. No, he said. Morrison sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. Stupid. Brave, but stupid. He reached for something off screen. Then I guess we do this the hard way. The laptop went dead. Victoria moved first. We've got maybe 3 minutes before they breach. Back exit. Now. They ran. Out of the interview room. Down a different hallway. Alarms screaming. Lights flashing. Guards everywhere. Victoria led them through service corridors, maintenance areas, places not on official blueprints but that she somehow knew existed. They burst into a basement, boiler room, pipes, steam, heat making the air shimmer. Through there, Victoria pointed. Tunnel leads to the street. Emergency exit from the 80s. They never updated the plans. They ran. Into the tunnel, darkness, water dripping, the smell of rot and mold. Behind them, voices. Shouting, pursuit. The tunnel stretched forever, or felt like it. Time distorted by adrenaline and terror. Kaia's lungs burned, legs screaming. She kept moving, had to keep moving. They reached a ladder, rusted, leading up to a manhole cover. Victoria climbed first, pushed the cover, stuck. She pushed harder. Lucien climbed up, added his weight. The cover shifted, light pouring in. They emerged onto a street. Morning light, traffic, people. Normal life happening around them like they weren't ghosts bleeding into daylight. A car screeched up, black sedan. Driver Kaia recognized. One of their people. They piled in. The car accelerated, tires screaming. Where to? The driver asked. Anywhere that isn't here, Lucien said. They drove. Random turns. Doubling back. Making sure they weren't followed. An hour later, they pulled into an abandoned factory on the west side. The driver left. They were alone. Lucien leaned against a wall, sliding down, exhausted. That was a disaster. That was a message, Victoria said. Morrison wanted us to know he's coming, wanted us scared. It worked. Kaia's hands were shaking now. Adrenaline crash. We almost died. We're always almost dying. That's the job. Victoria checked her weapons, reloading. But she's right. Morrison's coordinating something big. Federal task force, full resources. They're not just investigating anymore. They're hunting. Then we disappear, Kaia said. Leave Chicago. Start over somewhere else. Can't, Lucien said. I disappear and the organization collapses. Everything I built, everyone who works for me, gone. Absorbed by rivals or arrested by feds. I run, and 1,000 people suffer. Better than dying. Is it? He looked at her. You ran your whole life, Kaia. Foster homes, shitty apartments, waitressing, running from poverty, running from pain. Did it make you happy? No. Then why would running now be different? He pushed himself up. We stay. We fight. We win. Or we die trying. But we don't run. That's pride talking. That's purpose. He walked to the window, looked out at the factory floor, rusted machinery, broken dreams. I built something here, not just an organization, a system, a structure that keeps hundreds of people alive, fed, protected. I walk away and that ends. So no, we don't run. Victoria nodded. Then we fight, but smart. Morrison has resources, federal backing, legal authority. We can't win a straight fight. So we don't fight straight, Lucien said. We fight dirty, the way we always have. Meaning? Meaning Morrison's a federal agent, which means he has rules, regulations, oversight, things he can't do, lines he can't cross. Lucien smiled, cold, calculating. We don't have those limitations. We cross every line, break every rule, make him choose between catching us and staying clean. You want to bait him into breaking protocol, Kaia said. I want to make him radioactive, burn his career, force his superiors to pull him off the case. Lucien turned. We dig into his past, find dirt, plant evidence if we have to, create scandal, pressure, make him the story instead of us. That's, Kaia searched for words. That's evil. That's survival. He walked toward her. Morrison wants to end me, wants to destroy everything. You think he cares about rules, about justice? He's using the law as a weapon, so we disarm him. How? Victoria pulled out her phone, started typing. I've got contacts, people who owe favors. We start digging into Morrison's background, financials, family, secrets. Everyone's got secrets. We find his, and we leverage them. This feels wrong, Kaia said. Good, Lucien said. If it felt right, we'd be monsters. This way we're just desperate. He paused. You don't have to be part of this. This crosses lines even we haven't crossed yet. You want out? Say it now. Kaia thought about it. Really thought. About Morrison's smile. About 40 guards descending. About how close they'd come to dying. About how running meant abandoning everything. About how staying meant becoming something worse than she already was. I'm in, she said. You sure? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Victoria looked up from her phone. I've got something. Morrison has a daughter, college student, Northwestern, clean record, no priors. But she's got student loans, lots of them. More than a federal agent's salary can cover comfortably. So we make it look like Morrison's corrupt, taking bribes, using his position to fund his daughter's education, plant evidence, false trails, create enough smoke that his superiors have to investigate. That ruins his career, Kaia said. That's the point, Lucien said. He comes for us. We come for everything he loves. His job, his reputation, his family's security. We make him understand that attacking me has costs. His daughter didn't do anything wrong. Neither did we. Lucien's voice went cold. Morrison chose this war, not us. He could have investigated quietly, built a real case, done it legally. Instead, he grandstands, makes it personal, so we make it personal back. Victoria was already working, creating false documents, planting digital breadcrumbs, building a narrative of corruption that looked real enough to survive initial scrutiny. By the time investigators realized it was fabricated, Morrison would be suspended pending investigation. Maybe fired, definitely neutralized. It was brilliant. It was cruel. It was necessary. Kaia watched it happen. Watched a man's life get destroyed by lies and manipulation. Watched Victoria work with the efficiency of someone who'd done this before. Many times before. How many people have you destroyed like this? Kaia asked. 53, Victoria said without looking up. Give or take. I stopped counting after 40. Does it get easier? No. You just get better at not thinking about it. She finished typing. Hit send. Done. The evidence is planted. Anonymous tip goes to the DOJ Inspector General tomorrow morning. By noon, Morrison suspended. By end of week, he's done. Lucien nodded. Good. That buys us time. Maybe weeks. Maybe months. Long enough to rebuild, fortify, make ourselves untouchable again. And if it doesn't work, Kaia asked, then we improvise. He looked exhausted, beaten, but still standing. We always improvise. They spent the next 72 hours in hiding, different locations every 12 hours. Paranoia at maximum, trusting nobody except each other. The news broke on Wednesday. Federal agent under investigation for corruption. Morrison's face on every screen. His career imploding in real time. It worked. It shouldn't have. But it did. Morrison was suspended pending investigation. The task force disbanded. The heat lifted. Lucien started rebuilding immediately, reaching out to old contacts, rebuilding trust, reestablishing control. The organization came back together, slowly, carefully. But it came back. By the end of the week, they'd regained maybe 60% of their former strength. Not perfect, but enough. Enough to survive. Enough to matter. Kaia sat in the safe house watching Lucien work. Phone calls, meetings, negotiations. The man never stopped, never rested, just kept fighting because fighting was all he knew. "You okay?" Victoria asked. She'd appeared silently. Ghost habits. Define okay. Fair point. Victoria sat. "You did good this week. Kept your head. Didn't break. Most people would have broken." "I think I did break, I just haven't noticed yet." "Maybe. Or maybe you're stronger than you think." Victoria paused. "Lucien likes you, trusts you. That's rare. He doesn't trust anyone except me, and even that took years." "What happened between you two?" "Long story, short version. He saved my life. I saved his. We kept saving each other until we forgot who owed who. Now we're just—" She searched for words. "Permanent." "Is that healthy?" "Probably not. But it works." Victoria stood. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we're moving again. New location. Lucien's paranoid about staying anywhere too long." "He's earned paranoia. Haven't we all?" Kaia went to her room, lay on the bed, stared at the ceiling, thought about Morrison's daughter, about how her life had just gotten harder because her father had tried to do his job, about how collateral damage was just a phrase until you caused it yourself. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct, she answered. "Kaia Vale," a woman's voice said. "We need to talk." "Who is this?" "Someone who knows what Lucien Drakov did to my father." Pause. "Morrison's daughter. And I know what you did. I know you planted that evidence. I know everything." Kaia's blood went cold. "I don't know what Asham." "Don't, just don't. I've got proof. Digital forensics. Trace the planted documents back to Victoria Costa, who works for Lucien, who works with you." The woman's voice shook. Anger or fear or both. "My father's career is over. His reputation destroyed, all because he tried to stop you. Your father tried to kill us. He tried to arrest you. There's a difference. You're criminals. He's law enforcement. That's how society works." "Society doesn't work. It pretends. We're just honest about it." "You're monsters." "Yeah, probably." Kaia sat up. "What do you want?" "I want you to confess, publicly, clear my father's name, admit you framed him." "Can't do that." "Then I'm going to the media, the real media. I'll expose everything, your operation, Victoria, Lucien, all of it. They'll kill you." "Let them try." The line went dead. Kaia stared at her phone, then walked to Lucien's office. He was reading something on his tablet, looked up when she entered. "We have a problem," she said. She explained. Morrison's daughter, the threat, the proof, all of it. Lucien listened without interrupting. When she finished, he set the tablet down. "How much proof does she have?" "She claims enough. Digital forensics tracing the documents back to Victoria." "Shit." He stood, started pacing. "If she goes public, everything collapses. Media attention, federal investigation, real one this time. We'd have maybe 48 hours before arrest warrants. So what do we do?" He stopped pacing, looked at her. "What do you think we should do?" "Don't ask me that." "Why not? You're part of this. Your opinion matters." "My opinion is that we're fucked." She ran her hands through her hair. "We kill her, and we're monsters. We let her talk, and we're finished. There's no good option." "No, there isn't. Welcome to leadership." He walked to the window. "I could have Victoria handle it, quietly, permanently. She'd disappear. No body, no evidence, just gone. And you'd be able to live with that?" "I've lived with worse." He turned. "But you're right. We kill Morrison's daughter, and we cross a line we can't uncross. Not legally, morally. She's innocent, civilian, not part of this world. Killing her would make us exactly what Morrison said we are. So we let her destroy us? No. We give her what she wants. Kaia stared. What? We confess. Publicly. Clear Morrison's name. Expose Victoria's involvement. All of it. That's suicide. That's sacrifice. He pulled out his phone. Victoria's been with me 15 years, saved my life dozens of times. She's earned an exit, a clean one. We frame this as her acting alone. Rogue operator. I knew nothing. You knew nothing. Just Victoria playing games. She'll never agree to that. She will. Because she understands sacrifice. He started typing. I'll position her somewhere safe, offshore. New identity, money, protection. She disappears. Morrison's daughter gets her father's reputation back. We survive. Everyone wins except Victoria, and Victoria's already dead according to official records anyway. This is insane. This is chess. He hit send. I just texted her, explained the play. If she agrees, we move forward. If not, we improvise. The response came 30 seconds later. Victoria. Agreed. When? Lucien. Tomorrow. Press conference. I'll handle arrangements. Victoria. One condition. Kaia walks away clean, full immunity, fresh start. Lucien looked at Kaia. She wants you protected. Why? Because you remind her of who she used to be, before this world ate her. He typed. Agreed. Kaia's clean. Victoria. Then we have a deal. See you on the other side. Kaia felt like the floor had disappeared. She's sacrificing herself for us. For you. I'm already dead in every way that matters. But you? You've still got a chance. Victoria sees that. She's giving you what she never got. A way out. I don't want out. Yes, you do. You just don't realize it yet. He put his phone away. Tomorrow we hold a press conference. I announce that Victoria Costa, presumed dead former employee, went rogue, framed Morrison, acted without my knowledge. I cooperate fully with investigations. Clean house. Start over. You leave. New city. New name. Fresh start. And Victoria disappears forever into whatever life she's planned for herself. He paused. It's a good plan. It works. Everyone survives except the organization, and organizations can be rebuilt. People can't. Kaia wanted to argue, wanted to fight, but she was too tired, too broken, too empty. Okay, she said. Okay? Okay. We do it your way. He nodded. Get some rest. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. She tried, but sleep wouldn't come. Just lay there thinking about Victoria, about sacrifice, about how some people saved you and destroyed themselves doing it. Morning came cold and gray. The press conference was scheduled for noon, downtown, federal building, maximum visibility. Morrison would be there, his daughter would be there. Media, lawyers, everyone watching Lucien Drakov admit to crimes that would end his empire. They arrived separately. Lucien first, then Kaia. Victoria was already gone, disappeared before dawn, left a note on Kaia's pillow. You'll be fine. Better than fine. You're a survivor, always have been. Don't waste this gift. Kaia folded the note, put it in her pocket, walked into the federal building feeling like a ghost. The press room was packed, cameras, reporters. Morrison sitting in the front row with his daughter. They looked tired, relieved, victorious. Lucien took the podium, looked smaller somehow, diminished. He cleared his throat. My name is Lucien Drakov. I'm here to set the record straight regarding recent allegations against Special Agent Morrison. He spoke for 20 minutes, detailed everything, Victoria's involvement, the planted evidence, the corruption frame-up, all of it. The room was silent except for his voice and the click of cameras and Kaia's heart hammering. When he finished, Morrison stood. Mr. Drakov, are you prepared to cooperate fully with federal investigations into your organization? I am. And you understand this confession opens you to multiple felony charges? I do. Then we'll be taking you into custody. Morrison gestured. Federal agents moved forward, cuffed Lucien, rid him his rights, professional, efficient. Lucien looked at Kaia as they led him away. Didn't say anything, didn't need to. The look said everything. Survive. Matter. Don't waste this. Then he was gone. Morrison approached Kaia. You're free to go. We've got no evidence connecting you to any crimes. You were just an employee, wrong place, wrong time. That's it? I just walk? That's it. He paused. For what it's worth, you should walk far. This life? It doesn't end well. Trust me. He left. His daughter followed. They looked lighter, unburdened. Kaia felt heavier, like she'd absorbed their weight. She walked out of the federal building into Chicago daylight, cold, bright. Normal people living normal lives. She had money. Victoria had transferred accounts before disappearing, enough to start over. Anywhere. Anyone. But she couldn't move. Just stood there watching the city that had eaten her, changed her, made her into something she didn't recognize. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. It's not over. Victoria's voice, distorted, encrypted. Lucien's arrest was planned. He'll be out in 72 hours. Technicality? Lawyer he's got on retainer. The confession was theater. Buying time. What? Morrison thinks he won. He didn't. This was a strategic retreat. Lucien's reorganizing, rebuilding, stronger than before. Give it 6 months. He'll own Chicago again. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to decide. Walk away like we planned, or come back. Help finish what we started. Your choice. But choose fast. Clock's ticking. Where are you? Somewhere warm. Somewhere nobody looks twice at ghosts. Victoria paused. I meant what I said in the note. You'll be fine. But fine's not the same as good. Fine's not the same as winning. What if I don't want to win? What if I just want to stop? Then stop. Nobody's forcing you. Pause. But we both know you won't. Because stopping means admitting that everything you went through was for nothing, and you're too stubborn for that. The line went dead. Kaia stood in the cold, watching Chicago move, breathing, thinking, about choices and consequences and cages disguised as opportunities, about how survival wasn't enough anymore, about how she'd crossed so many lines that going back meant admitting she'd been wrong, and she couldn't afford to be wrong, not after everything. She pulled out her phone, sent a text to the last number Victoria had used. I'm in. Where do we start? The response came immediately. Same place we always start. At the beginning. See you soon, Kaia Vale. Kaia looked at Chicago one last time, the city that had broken her, the city she was going to burn. Then she walked away from the federal building, away from freedom, toward whatever came next, toward blood and ghosts and war. Because this wasn't over. This was just beginning, and Kaia Vale had finally stopped running. 6 months. That's how long it took for Lucien to dismantle the federal case. Not through violence, not through corruption. Through lawyers. Expensive ones. The kind who found technicalities in search warrants and procedural violations in evidence chains. The kind who made prosecutors sweat and judges reconsider. The charges didn't disappear. They transformed. Reduced. Plea bargained down from decades to months. White-collar facility. Minimum security. The kind of prison that was barely prison at all. Lucien served 4 months. Got out early for good behavior. Kaia watched it happen from a distance. She'd left Chicago like Victoria suggested, gone to Denver, quiet city, mountains, clean air, got a job bartending. Nothing fancy, just pouring drinks and pretending she'd never killed anyone. It didn't work. She'd wake up at 3 a.m. with Thomas's face in her head, Marcus crying, Victor's blood spreading across marble, all of it playing on loop until she gave up on sleep and just watched the city lights until dawn. Denver was supposed to be her fresh start, her escape, her proof that she could be normal again. But normal felt like dying slowly. So when Victoria called 6 months later and said Lucien was out, said they were rebuilding, said they needed her, Kaia bought a plane ticket before the call ended. She flew back to Chicago on a Tuesday. The city looked the same, still gray, still cold, still eating people and pretending it was opportunity. The safe house was different. New location, bigger, more secure. Lucien had learned from his mistakes. This place was fortress. Guards, cameras, protocols that would make military installations jealous. Victoria met her at the door, looked different, tan, relaxed. Retirement had been good to her, apparently. Thought you'd stay gone, Victoria said. So did I. What changed? I got bored. Kaia walked inside. Turns out normal life is just slower suicide. Yeah, it is. Victoria led her through the house. New guards everywhere, young faces, hungry eyes, people who wanted to matter, who hadn't learned yet that mattering cost everything. Lucien's in the study, been asking about you. What'd you tell him? That you'd come back, eventually. People like us always do. The study was exactly like the old one. Dark wood, expensive books, windows showing nothing. Lucien sat behind the desk, looked older. Prison-aged people fast even when it was the nice kind. He looked up when Kaia entered, smiled, real smile, not the cold one. You came back? Yeah. Why? Because Denver was boring, and I'm apparently addicted to chaos now. She sat across from him. You look terrible. 4 months in federal custody will do that. He poured whiskey, offered her a glass. She took it. How have you been? Pretending to be normal, failing at it. You? Rebuilding an empire, succeeding at it. He drank. Morrison still suspended, investigations ongoing. His daughter went quiet after the confession, got what she wanted. And the organization? Stronger than before, smaller, but tighter. No more victors. No more leaks. Just people who understand that loyalty isn't negotiable. He paused. I'm offering you a position. Head of security. Real one this time, not temporary. Not trial basis. Permanent. What happened to the person who had it before? Retired. Voluntarily. With a generous severance package and my blessing. He set his glass down. I'm done using people, Kaia. Done with the chess games. Done pretending everyone's expendable. Victoria taught me something during those 4 months. She said the reason I keep losing people is because I treat them like pieces instead of partners. Victoria said that? She did, right before she threatened to shoot me if I didn't learn the lesson. He almost smiled. So here's the offer. You work with me, not for me. We build something sustainable, something that doesn't require constant bloodshed to maintain, something where people can actually survive long enough to retire. That's optimistic. That's necessary. I'm tired, Kaia. Tired of fighting. Tired of losing people. Tired of waking up wondering who's trying to kill me today. He leaned forward. I want to build something different, something better, and I need people I can trust to do it, people like you. I killed a man. I know. I helped frame a federal agent. I know. I'm not good people. Neither am I. But we're honest people. And honest monsters are better than dishonest saints. He extended his hand. Partners? Kaia looked at the offered hand, thought about Denver, about boring days and empty nights, about surviving versus living, about whether redemption was even possible for people like them. She shook his hand. Partners. Victoria appeared in the doorway. Good. Now that the emotional reunion's done, we have work. The Castellano family's making moves on the north side. They think Lucien's weakened, think now's their moment. How many soldiers? Lucien asked. 50, maybe 60. Street-level dealers mostly, but organized, coordinated. They've taken 3 of our distribution points in 2 weeks. So we take them back. Or we let them have them, Kaia said. Both of them looked at her. Explain, Lucien said. You want to build something sustainable, something that doesn't require constant war. So stop fighting over street corners. Let the Castellanos have the north side. We focus on legitimate business, money laundering through real companies, political influence, long-term investments. We go above the street, become untouchable legally instead of violently. Silence. Victoria whistled low. That's either brilliant or insane. Both probably, Kaia said. But think about it. Every war costs money, lives, attention. We keep fighting the Castellanos and we're just bleeding resources. We cede territory and they get comfortable. Stop pushing. Stop being a threat. Meanwhile, we build something they can't touch, can't fight, can't even understand. Lucien leaned back, thinking, calculating. We'd look weak. In the short term, but long term, we'd be stronger, richer, safer. Kaia stood, walked to the window. I spent 6 months in Denver watching legitimate businesses operate. They don't fight wars, they buy competitors, merge, consolidate, become too big to fail. That's real power, not street corners, not drug routes, market dominance. You're talking about going legitimate. I'm talking about going smart. She turned. You spent 4 months in prison. Want to go back? Because street wars get federal attention. White-collar crime? They barely prosecute, slap on the wrist, fine you can afford. That's sustainable. Victoria nodded slowly. She's right. The old model's dying anyway. Too much surveillance, too much enforcement. We either adapt or we end up like Victor, dead or in prison. Lucien was quiet for a long time, just thinking, processing. Finally, he nodded. Okay, we try it. Cede the north side. Focus on legitimate operations. But we keep enough muscle to defend core territory. Hybrid model. Legal front. Illegal back end. Best of both. That's more complicated, Victoria said. That's survival. He looked at Kaia. You just talked me into the biggest strategic shift I've ever made. Hope you're right. Me too. They spent the next 3 months executing the plan. It was harder than expected. The old guard hated it, thought Lucien was weak, thought they were surrendering. Several left, joined rivals. That hurt, but Lucien let them go. No bloodshed, no revenge, just let them walk. The ones who stayed were true believers. People who understood that evolution beats stubbornness. They bought businesses, shell companies, restaurants, car washes, laundromats, built a network of legitimate income that washed money cleaner than any street operation could. The Castellanos took the north side, got aggressive, started pushing into other territories, made enemies. Within 6 months, 3 rival families declared war on them. The Castellanos were drowning in conflicts while Lucien's organization grew quietly wealthy in the background. Kaia coordinated everything: security, operations, logistics. She was good at it, better than she expected. Turned out survival skills translated well to business management. Who knew? But the peace was fragile, built on agreements and handshakes and the illusion that violence wasn't always option one. And illusions didn't last. The breaking point came on a Thursday. One of Lucien's legitimate businesses, a restaurant downtown, got hit. Arson. Molotov cocktails through the windows at 3 a.m. No casualties because it was closed. But the message was clear. Someone wanted war. They met in the study, Lucien, Victoria, Kaia, trying to figure out who'd broken the peace. Castellanos? Victoria suggested. Doesn't fit their style, Kaia said. They're territorial but not stupid. They know hitting our legitimate businesses brings federal attention. Then who? Someone who wants us fighting each other. Lucien pulled up security footage, showed 3 men throwing the Molotovs, young, sloppy. These aren't professionals, they're kids. Hired muscle. Hired by who? That's the question. He froze the frame, enhanced the image. One of the kids had a tattoo, gang symbol. That's Southside disciples. They're not aligned with anyone. Freelance. So someone hired them to start a war between us and the Castellanos. Kaia studied the image. Who benefits from that? Everyone except us and them. Victoria pulled up a list of rival organizations. Could be any of these, but my money's on the Volkov family. Russian mob. They've been quiet since the purge. Too quiet. Volkovs lost people during our war with Thomas, Lucien said. Makes sense they'd want revenge, but instead of coming at us directly, they create chaos. Let us and the Castellanos destroy each other. Then they move in and pick up the pieces. Smart, Kaia said. Evil, but smart. So what do we do? Victoria asked. Lucien was quiet, thinking. Finally, we talk to the Castellanos, show them the evidence, prove the Volkovs are playing us, form an alliance, temporary, just long enough to handle the real threat. The Castellanos hate us. The Castellanos hate losing more. They're getting torn apart by 3 different families. We offer them relief, help them end their wars in exchange for helping us end the Volkovs. He stood, set up a meeting, neutral ground, tomorrow night. The meeting was in an abandoned church on the west side. Ironic location considering the people involved, but neutral. Public enough that neither side could ambush the other without witnesses. Lucien brought 4 guards. Kaia, Victoria. The Castellanos brought their boss, old man named Dominic. his son Vincent, and 6 soldiers. They met in the nave, empty pews, broken stained glass, decades of dust and decay. Dominic Castellano looked exactly like you'd expect, 70 years old, scarred, missing fingers on his left hand. The kind of man who'd survived 50 years in this business by being meaner than everyone else. Drakov, Dominic said. No warmth, just acknowledgement. Castellano, Lucien gestured to the pews. Shall we sit? Rather stand. This won't take long. Your choice. Lucien pulled out a tablet, showed the arson footage. Recognize these men? Dominic studied it. Southside disciples. Why would I care? Because they torched my restaurant. And before you celebrate, think about who hired them. You're saying I didn't order this? I'm saying you're smarter than this. You hit my legitimate businesses and you bring federal heat on everyone. You don't want that. I don't want that. Nobody wants that except someone who benefits from us destroying each other. Dominic's eyes narrowed. Volkovs. Volkovs. Lucien put the tablet away. You're fighting 3 families right now, bleeding resources, losing territory. The Volkovs are watching, waiting. When you're weak enough, they'll move in, take everything. Why do you care? Because after they take your territory, they'll come for mine. And I'd rather fight them with you than after you. Lucien paused. I'm proposing an alliance, temporary. We help you end your wars, you help us end the Volkovs. Then we go back to our respective corners and leave each other alone. Why should I trust you? Because I ceded you the north side without a fight. Because I could have hit you hard during your wars and didn't. Because I'm offering you a way out that doesn't involve bleeding to death. Lucien's voice was steady, calm. You're a survivor, Dominic. So am I. Survivors recognize each other, and right now we survive together or we die separately. Dominic looked at his son. Some silent communication. Vincent nodded slightly. What do you want? Dominic asked. Combined assault on Volkov operations, simultaneous hits, burn their money, scatter their soldiers, make them understand that coming for us costs more than they can afford. When? 3 days. Gives us time to coordinate, plan, execute cleanly. Dominic considered, long moment, then extended his hand. 3 days. We hit them hard. Then we're done. Lucien shook. Done. The alliance was temporary, fragile, built on mutual necessity rather than trust. But it held. They spent 3 days planning, mapping Volkov operations, identifying vulnerabilities. The Volkovs ran weapons, prostitution, protection rackets, old-school organized crime, brutally efficient but also predictable, patterns you could exploit if you were smart. Kaia coordinated with Vincent Castellano. He was younger than she expected, early 30s, smart, less brutal than his father, more strategic. They worked well together, found rhythms, built something that looked almost like respect. Your boss is different than I expected, Vincent said during a planning session. How so? He negotiates. Most people in his position just take, force everything. But he offers deals, makes alliances. Vincent studied maps. My father thinks it's weakness. What do you think? I think it's evolution. The old way's dying. Too much law enforcement, too much surveillance. You adapt or you die. He looked at her. You're different too. How? You don't talk like a soldier. You talk like a strategist, someone who thinks instead of just acts. Survival skill. Must have been some childhood. Foster care. 18 homes. You learn to read rooms or you learn to hurt. I chose reading. Smart choice. He smiled. Rare expression. After this is done, after the Volkovs, maybe we stay allies. Not formally, just cooperative. We don't step on each other. We coordinate. Make everyone else think twice about moving on either of us. You'd have to sell that to your father. My father's old, stuck in old ways. I'm positioning for when he retires, or dies. Whichever comes first. He said it casually, like discussing weather. This business needs new thinking. People like you, like Lucien. We could build something better, something that lasts. That's optimistic. That's necessary. Kaia found herself liking Vincent despite herself. He was pragmatic, smart, not driven by ego or violence, just survival, like her. The assault happened on a Saturday. Coordinated hits across Chicago. Volkov weapons warehouses, brothels, collection points. Everything at once. Overwhelming force. Not designed to take territory, designed to send a message. You come for us, we come for everything. Kaia led one team. Restaurant the Volkovs used as a front. She went in with 6 soldiers. Quick, professional. Secured the location, found the back office where they kept records, cash, weapons. She documented everything, photographed, then burned it. All of it, no casualties. They'd cleared civilians first. This was about money, about power, not about bodies. The other teams reported similar results. Clean operations, minimal violence, maximum damage. By midnight, the Volkovs had lost millions. Their infrastructure crippled, their reputation shattered. The response came 48 hours later. Alexei Volkov himself requested a meeting. Neutral ground, same church. He came alone except for one bodyguard. Brave or stupid, hard to tell. Alexei was younger than Kaia expected. Mid-40s, expensive suit, European accent. He looked like a businessman, not a gangster, but the cold in his eyes said otherwise. Drakov, Castellano. He nodded to both. That was impressive, coordinated, professional. You've made your point. Good, Lucien said. Then you understand. We're not weak, we're not divided, and we're not targets. I understand. I also understand that you've united 2 enemies against me. That's concerning. Then stop giving us reasons to unite. Fair. Alexei sat in a pew, casual, like he owned the place. Here's my offer. I cease all operations against both of you, permanently. In exchange, you cease operations against me. We divide the city into zones, stay in our lanes, cooperate where beneficial, compete where necessary, but no wars, no raids, no arson or hired kids throwing Molotovs, professional courtesy. Why should we trust you? Dominic asked. Because I just lost $20 million and half my infrastructure. Because continuing this fight costs me more than peace. Because I'm a businessman, and war is bad business. Alexei stood. I didn't order the arson. Someone on my team got ambitious, thought starting a war between you would benefit us. I disagreed. He's been dealt with. Dealt with how? Kaia asked. He's not a concern anymore. Flat statement, no elaboration needed. So, do we have peace? Lucien and Dominic exchanged looks, some calculation happening without words. We have peace, Lucien said, but it's provisional. You step out of line once. We come for everything again. Understood. Alexei extended his hand. Lucien shook, then Dominic. Then he looked at Kaia. You coordinated the assault? I did. Impressive work, minimal casualties, maximum impact, professional. He nodded. Respect. Thanks? Not thanks. Acknowledgement. You're dangerous. I appreciate dangerous. Makes negotiations clearer. He walked toward the exit, paused. See you around, Kaia Vale. Try not to burn down any more of my businesses. He left. The alliance between Lucien and Dominic dissolved naturally after that. They'd achieved their goal, maintained peace. Now they returned to their respective territories. Not friends, not enemies. Just competitors with healthy respect. Vincent stayed in touch. Business contacts. Information sharing, building something that looked like the future. Less violent, more strategic. Kaia coordinated most of it, found she was good at diplomacy, at building bridges instead of burning them. 3 months passed, quiet months, profitable months. The legitimate businesses grew, money flowed. The organization became less organization and more corporation. Still illegal at the edges, but mostly legal, mostly sustainable. Kaia sat in Lucien's study on a Thursday evening. They'd just finished reviewing quarterly reports. The numbers were good, better than good, exceptional. We're almost legitimate, she said. Almost. Lucien poured whiskey. Ritual now, every Thursday. How does that feel? Weird? Good weird, but weird. Yeah, he drank. I've been thinking about something Victoria said before she left. What? She said the reason I kept losing people was because I treated them like soldiers instead of partners. People you could sacrifice for strategy. He set his glass down. I don't want to do that anymore. Don't want to use people. Don't want anyone else dying for me. That's growth. That's exhaustion. He smiled. But maybe they're the same thing. What happens now? Kaia asked. We just run businesses? Have board meetings instead of wars? If we're lucky. If we're smart. If nobody decides peace is boring. He paused. But yeah, that's the plan. Build something that lasts, something where people can retire instead of dying, where loyalty is rewarded with pensions instead of gravestones. That's almost beautiful. Almost. He refilled his glass. What about you? What do you want? Honestly, I don't know. I spent my whole life surviving. Never thought past that. Never planned for actually living. She looked at her reflection in the window, barely recognized herself. I'm 25 years old. I've killed people, framed people, helped run a criminal empire, and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Maybe that's okay. Maybe not knowing is better than knowing wrong. He stood, walked to the window beside her,